What up, what up, what up? Happy Wednesday, everybody. How's everybody out there doing in the YouTube world? Coop, how you doing today, bro?
It's 80 degrees outside.
80 degrees. When I tell that trick, please raise up off these NUTs because you get none of these at ease. Loving the 80-degree weather out here, man.
Yeah, I had the sunroof back today.
I don't know if the winter is totally gone. We might get one more, you know what I'm saying, cold snap. It's the way it works sometimes here in Atlanta. But if we're headed into spring, I'm ready for that too.
We don't have winter down here anymore. We haven't had winter here in a long time.
It'd be
And
like it'd be a couple months maybe. We had it
we
real
get, we
cold
get
for.
about 5 cold days every month. And other than that, it'd be about 50, 60. Climate change is real. If you want to know the climate change is real, is that Mike, I checked the forecast for New York. It's definitely not bright and sunny and warm up there.
Well,
Um,
I mean, let the cat out the bag. Coop's actually going to be in New York on Friday for the Nas Madison Square Garden show. We're going to get into that stuff too. I wish I could be there. I got to do this event with Mickey Fax here in Atlanta. So we're going to be recording a lot of content and stuff here and get some freestyles and some bars going on. But I mean, look, you want to wait till the people get in the room a little bit before we get into the details of what Friday is going to entail.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, did you see the All Star game? We talked a little bit about basketball. I think it's a good opener to talk about the NBA All Star weekend and the travesty that it was. And you know what? For the first time, the lack of hip hop presence in Salt Lake City.
Hmm.
But let's start with the game.
From what I saw of the game, which was what I was rewinded to, which was pretty much the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Game was whack. It's not any good anymore. It's not any good anymore. And I think I said this on the Patreon show on Monday. Um, well, quite frankly, because LeBron is so friendly and doesn't have that like Kobe, Magic, Bird, Jordan, even Dr. J, Shaq, Moses Malone type of killer instinct, KG. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, the game is lacking that now because what it is, it's supposed to be a fun exhibition, but you have to understand part of what makes it fun is watching like the most skilled guys actually compete at a relatively high level against each other for some portion of the game, which is usually the fourth quarter.
Yeah, because they try to win the game. I don't like a lot of the rule changes that they made too, where it's like it's confusing where they start the score over after each quarter. Like, why do they? I mean, I know they do that for their charities and this and that, but it feels like the NBA at this point, and I don't know if this is an Adam Silver thing, because I know LeBron's easy to blame, and we'll get to him too. But it's like they're trying to do so many changes that, and I hate to sound like our parents or something. It's just it's too much, man. You're doing way too much. I don't even like, and I love the 3 point contest. Actually, my favorite part of All Star Weekend. Them adding all these extra point balls, and they got like a 5 point ball and all that. Like, why are we even doing all of this?
Well, my daughter turned 16 this past weekend, so I actually am like the parent now, and I I can deal with all the changes, Mike, as long as the competitive fervor is still there. And so what I'm speaking to is that well, I don't think we would be talking about all of this right now if it was like a highly skilled and competitive fourth quarter. And what it really makes me concerned for, because I mean, Mike, here's really what happened too. Well, LeBron didn't really play. Steph didn't play. KD didn't play. Well, those are your three biggest American stars. And then Giannis pretty much re-injured himself or injured himself worse very, very early on. So that's four of your top seven players. So you're left with Jokic, Embiid, and Luka to carry the game. And it's like, athletically speaking, style point wise, that's not really about to go. Kyrie and Jason Tatum did what they could,
There
but
wasn't a lot of star power out there. I mean, LeBron is the star power, and it feels like he's kind of on this whole victory lap, even though it's not his, final season or anything. But it feels like each All Star game could possibly be his last because he's so far along in his career. But yeah, it just doesn't feel like the star power is there. Now, to the competitive side of it, do you feel like once they took away this whole Eastern Conference, Western Conference competition, that now it's just not competitive at all?
Well, this is what I mean about the part that LeBron has to play in this. People have been commenting on this too. LeBron uses the fact that he's the leading vote getter as a recruiting session. That's not competitive. You feel me? Like, he drafted Kyrie first. He's pretty much saying, Kyrie, hey, remember what it feels like playing next to me? See what life is like with me? See, LeBron is such a great facilitator of people and with the ball and on the court that he is actually using this exhibition to try to further his teams these last few years. That's what I'm saying is the part that he has to play in it is that instead of people really competing against each other. And yeah, some of the East-West thing being broken up having to do with it, but LeBron's whole psychological and business and professional, like NBA, for his team approach to it hurts too. And it also seems like outside of KD and even to a lesser degree Steph, everybody defers to him in such a way that it's not fun.
I feel you. Michael Williams with the super chat says, flying out to New York tonight, rolling up to Sweet Chicks on Friday before the show for sure. All right, well, yeah, Coop and Michael Williams going to see each other there then. We got another super chat, and I'll get back to what you were saying. Marquez Davis with the super chat says, the Tupac disrespect on Apple Music always preferred Big over Pop, but you got to be a damn fool to say that he is not a good rapper. We're going to get to that, too. What were you saying, Coop?
Well, people have to understand, even when Michael Jordan was playing, and you can go, look, no. Guys competed with Mike. And a lot of the time that Mike was out there, he was playing with Magic or Bird or Isaiah. You know what I mean? Guys that like to compete. Dominique, guys that likes to compete. Gary Payton, guys that like to compete. Tim Hardaway, guys that like to compete. You know what I mean?
Well, they want to get the best of Mike. You know what I mean? Like, I think Michael was one of those players that niggas was coming at him every game because he's Michael Jordan. Whereas, like,
Iverson, Shaq.
Yeah. They want to get that moment. I think with LeBron, like you said, you can see a lot of people deferring to him. And I think that even when you create an environment where it's team picking now, then it's like you want to get on that person's good side. Whose idea was it to even change the All-Star game into that, and why?
I mean, I don't know exactly. I get it from an interactive standpoint. That's what I mean. Like, I get it all the way up to the point that it's like, you're still supposed to try to go body them, right? In the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part of it that's missing.
Yeah, it's become the first three. It's become what the Pro Bowl has become in football. Yeah. And, with good reason. The Pro Bowl is right before the Super Bowl, a week before the Super Bowl. Guys ain't trying to get hurt. And the people that are going to the Super Bowl are definitely not in attendance. So, the Pro Bowl, I get that. But this used to actually be something exciting. You know what I mean?
And respectfully, I'll say this. Something's happened to the big man in this game where it's like the big men aren't as great and they don't have the star power either.
Well, you know what's happened? They stretched them out to be shooting guards.
Right. So it's like, think about it.
What's the big man's role in today's game, Coop?
Right. Because it's like when I just remember the All-Star games where it's like, no, I can remember David Robinson, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Shaq all being like on the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
And there still being a flow and it's still being fun. But those guys are all really athletic. You know what I'm saying?
Vernon
Tim Duncan being the exception.
Vernon with the super chat. You know what? We might just bounce around because I did want to actually cover this. Vernon says, Pitchfork revisited Stillmatic's album and now gave him a 9.1 rating. He says the Heat got too much. I guess the people got too much for them. The Heat got too much for them. That's what he meant. Listen, did you see that? Because one of our, I don't know if it was Vernon, but one of our followers actually sent us the review. And I saw that they did that a couple of weeks back, but I never looked at it. But I think they were piggybacking off of our conversation about Billboard's top 10 and how they use Nas's time to speak to Jay. Well, they did the same thing in this article. They went, this Stillmatic article, let me pull it up real quick. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the research that I did after, after the fact. Now, they gave it a 9.1, but this article's about Jay-Z once again. So I'm just going to start it off because it's a very, very long article. It says, in the summer of 2000, at Music Mogul Steve Stout's birthday party in New York, Nas and Jay-Z ended up in an unexpected, tense conversation about the state of hip-hop. The pair had never exactly been friends. After growing up in the project houses 5 miles and a borough apart, the rappers met in the early 90s on tour, including Jay's mentor, Jazz, and main source. The group had introduced Nas to the public with an ancillary guest feature on 1991's Live at the Barbecue. Nas popped out rapping Stuffin' Jesus. Jay would play the hype man for Jazz. Blah, blah, blah. Let me get down here real quick. All right, with an astonishing 1994 debut album, Illmatic, Nas was anointed the savior in certain strand of formalistic autobiographical rap. 2 years later, Jay released his own debut, Reasonable Doubt, on his label that he co-founded with Biggs and Dame. Nas was supposed to be the heir apparent on Reasonable Doubt to Bring It On, but according to Dash, kept flaking on the schedule, recording sessions. This is the review for Stillmatic. So anyway, they go on and on. They keep talking about Jay. I can even go down a little bit more. It says Jay started by throwing his own people under the bus. He said that his protege, Memphis Bleak, was a big fan of Nas. Okay, well, this is going back into some articles or whatnot. Anyway, so I ran this article through WordPress. Not WordPress, what am I talking about? Microsoft Word. And you know how you can find out how many times a individual word is mentioned in an article? I looked up to see how many times Jay-Z was mentioned in this article, and it was 44 times. Nas' name in his own review was mentioned 69 times. How is another artist's name mentioned in your album review 44 times? Come on, Pitchfork. We got to stop this, man. I guess that's the new play. Now that, they got called out for the whole Illmatic thing and always bringing that up. Now it's time to start talking about Jay whenever it's time to talk about Nas. I think with this show coming up and with this series that has solidified Nas in his spot, he's number one. It is what it is. Anybody who is saying otherwise is honestly not being objective. Let's just be completely honest here at this point. What needs to happen in hip-hop, man, we need to stop mentioning Jay-Z, as it concerns Nas. Nas's career stands alone. Now, if you want to do a full biographical take on the two and mention that small window in their career, fine. But at the end of the day, there's no reason to mention Jay-Z when you're talking about Nas. He's done way too much. 44 times, Coop? 44 times. 44 fours, man. But yeah, 44 times. 444. Jay-Z is mentioned in this album. And this album review, excuse me.
Well, it's very problematic, obviously, that in an article that is actually supposed to be correcting a musical injustice of sorts. So the fact that this review is even tethered with the fabrics of Jay-Z that much is problematic, like truly. I'm not saying that like tongue in cheek. I'm saying that like for what the word and the connotation of it actually means. And this is once again an example of how media really tries to help and control the narrative. I think you made a very astute observation when you're saying it's like, well, they're really just trying to divert the path. Now it's like, well, now we can't talk bad about Illmatic, so let's just bring up Jay as much as we possibly
Right.
can and try to make it seem like that this man's career is centered around him usurping Jay's status, or at least
Exactly.
attempting to.
Exactly. And the
And
thing is, man, it's not like he didn't have other things going on during the creation of this album. He just lost his mother. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the fact that the article didn't start off there and start off with the fact that, okay, these are the things that were going on with this artist at the time of the conception and the creation of this project, as opposed to just, boom, we're going to just start with Ether. I mean, it's the same thing that the people at Billboard did. And I'm sure that the Jay-Z fans in the chat, and I'm a Jay-Z fan myself, are going to sit here and say, yo, man, you guys are reaching, blah, blah, blah. They just did the same thing with Billboard. Were we reaching when Billboard put Nas at number 3 and didn't say anything about his career and just talked about Ether? It went from Ether, he won a Grammy, move on to Kendrick at 2. This is something this is planned. And they got to stop that, man.
it is. I mean, it's a, if people really understand what propaganda means. I know
Right.
when people
This
when
is
we
legit
actually
propaganda.
like when people like when we but you have to understand that that word unto itself is considered to be controversial and considered to be propaganda has officially become a word that if you use it you're officially like a conspiracy theorist. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it has a bad skew overall as a word now, but plain in sight, when we are talking about how this is propaganda and yellow journalism, this is what we are talking about, because it's like, well, hold on, you're re-rating the album. Why are you re-rating the album talking about a Nas and Jay-Z conversation in a nightclub? What does that have to really do with Stillmatic at all? Because if I'm not mistaken, Stillmatic is about 15 songs deep, and you pretty much centered an entire review, not just around one record, but an entire few that we're already aware and privy to. You know,
Right.
and it's just like, how many times are you going to play that card now? And and the plug is the one that kind of told me, it's like, well, you know, when you mention, and that's why we stopped doing it here, at least on my part too. It's like, well, when you put Jay and Nas in the same sentence, that really helps Jay more than it helps Nas, and that's what this propaganda side of it. It's like, well, actually, they're big upping Jay and who Jay is by mentioning him so much in an article with somebody who is as equally, if not more important than him in this culture.
Exactly. And the thing is, as Dame Dash said on the Breakfast Club, when they talk to Jay, they don't bring up Nas. So don't do it the other way around. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Because
if
you don't have to talk, like, you don't have to talk about Ether at all for this man to have like an incredible career.
he's already made the statement, and I don't know if Jay's made the same statement, but he doesn't perform Ether anymore. It's not even part of his catalog at this point. So, and
It's
honestly,
not.
it's not one of the stronger songs on Stillmatic. Like, to even, it's two things. You know, I think that the media is fascinated with, you know, hip hop beefs, right? That's one thing. But what makes it very one sided is the fact that whenever Jay is talked about, this quote unquote beef is never mentioned. So the propaganda side of it is positioning it in a way where it's almost like this was something that was in play to benefit Nas. That's not what it was. It was just two MCs, you know, getting on record, going back and forth. That's happened before. But to actually only speak of it whenever we mention Nas's career, that's to put it, that's to say without saying that, yo, that was a come up for him. You know what I mean?
Well, this is okay. So this is what people, I think, and this is why I don't like. This is me personally why I don't like the Ether talk. I think you make another astute observation, Mike. First of all, I don't think that the Takeover or Ether, respectively, are top 5 songs on those respective albums. Do you?
I don't, especially in Ether's case. Takeover, it's closer, but no, I don't. Because I think You
Okay,
Don't Know's
so
better. I think that Heart of the City's better. I think Song
Right.
Cry is better.
Right.
Just off the top.
I think. Okay,
Takeover's a
go ahead.
strong song though. So I mean,
I think All I Need is better,
you think All I
and I
Need's
think
better than
Mama.
Takeover? I don't
I
know.
think Mama Loves Me is better. I think Lyrical Exercise is better.
I don't know. I don't know about those.
I love
It's
Lyrical
close.
Exercise. I think that's the most underrated beat on that album, actually.
I love
But
the Doors sample. You know what I'm saying?
no, I feel you. I think you're
Yeah.
talking about the beat too.
Yeah, just
I
the
think some of that
complete,
is
yeah.
about what you prefer.
Yeah.
Um, but I say that to say that, well, Nas needed a Stillmatic more than he needed Ether. You feel what I'm saying?
Correct.
He needed an album
Yeah.
that sounded the way that Stillmatic sounded more than he needed Ether. Like if this never happens and Ether's not on Stillmatic and you just like take track 2 out and then put the rest of it together, oh, the talk is still the same about the album, because when you talk about the greatness of the album, you're not really talking about Ether. You're
right.
talking about the intro. You're talking about You're the Man. You're talking about Rewind and One Mic and The Flyest and What Goes Around.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really talking about Ether like that when you're talking about the moments on the album that kind of like made it a quote unquote comeback of sorts. Like,
right.
He didn't need Ether for it to be a comeback album. He needed Stillmatic to sound like Stillmatic sounded outside of Ether.
You're right. You're right. Because if he would have put out Ether and the rest of the album was Nostradamus, then that wouldn't have helped him.
That wasn't gonna cut it.
Yeah. CJ
cut it.
CJ Kidd with the super chat says, I recently saw another GIP video of him straight launching meteorites at Jay, to which I think it went a little bit far. Wonder what Jay did to him. This is the thing, man, and I think that we only deal with this when it comes to Jay and criticism and things of that nature. I'm a Jay-Z fan myself, you know what I mean? I think he's one of the greatest ever. He's top 3 to me. But if somebody said something like, look, I don't really get into the hustler talk. If mostly what your talk is about selling drugs, and I'm more into KRS, and I'm more into people who do other things, I can't knock that. That's just his opinion. And I think again, like, go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. I want you to finish.
No, I was just going to say, kind of like what we said in the previous episode, I think that Big Gip was around before Jay, and he remembers what it was like before he came along, and, what he sounded like before the rest of us heard him, and he has a different viewpoint. He was in the room, like you said.
Well, that's why I've always told people, it's like, no, objectively, you can put Jay, I can put Jay at number 2 and enjoy his music. And Mike, he still tops like 6 or 7 to me on a personal level. So it's not like, oh, I'm saying objectively he's number 2, but personally I have him at 17.
Right.
No, that's not what's going on. He's still like high amongst the highest, but for me, as somebody who's a big fan of Biggie, a big fan of Tupac, and a big fan of Nas, and was a hip-hop fan of music around that time, literally from about 92, 93, 94, 95, before he even came along, like really, outside of the In My Lifetime. I remember when In My Lifetime, Volume 1, the actual little single with the little champagne bottle on it and stuff, I remember when all that dropped and all that. Like, I was already ahead by then. So it's like, for me, I kind of feel the way Gip feels about it. Is like,
I understand it.
But and it's okay to feel that way without it being disrespectful, because it's like, no, I remember when they was all outside. On a good day, he was 4th. On a good day, he was 4th when they were all outside.
When
so
everybody was
outside, it's hard
outside.
for me to forget that competitively.
Right. No, that's fair. And
so-
it's like, let's
and
put it
then-
in NBA terms. Let's put it in NBA terms, right? Let's just
I was
say,
just about to, but go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I want to see the players.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead and run.
So let's just say we got Bird, Magic, Jordan, and say Olajuwon or something, right? We know who was who and everybody was active. And let's just say somehow 2 guys drop off the face of the earth and the other guy continues to go on a consistent pace, and people are saying, yo, he's the greatest ever. And I'm like, no, well, when all 4 of them were there, he was a distant 4th.
Right. I wasn't going to go Olajuwon. I was actually going to use the same analogy, Mike, and I was going to go Isaiah. It's like, and think about this. This is what I'm saying. I still think Isaiah's the best little man that ever played, like, the game. And I still think he's a top 20 player. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
When I mean top 20 player, actually, Mike, no. Isaiah Thomas is still a top 15 player all time in my eyes. Because he got 2 rings when Bird, Magic, and Mike was outside.
Yeah.
They were outside. He got 2 rings. He's 6 feet tall, Mike. He had a season where he averaged, I think, 20 points and 14 assists. In 1985, he averaged 20 points and 14 assists.
He's a bad
That's
man.
never going to happen again, okay? You're never going to see a point guard do that again. Nobody's ever going to average 20 and get that many assists again, okay? So he's all-time legendary. Now sit him next to Mike and Larry and Magic in like 88, 89, 87, right. Just like his players. It's like, no, he's not as good as them.
Yeah.
And as much as he would hate to admit it, he would probably tell you that. That's why his accomplishment is so great. And so it's okay to hold somebody high, and it's not any disrespect if he's not number one. Because for me, somebody who's from the South, well, I do prefer to listen to Scarface music more than Jay music. And somebody that's a big Wu-Tang fan, a lot of the time I prefer to hear Ghostface. Mike is somebody that really, if you want to really talk about what Jay is famous for, which is that talk. Well, Mike, why you think I hold Ray so high until you Ray's top 10?
Yeah.
When Jay's talking Meyer Lansky on American Gangster in 2009, how does Glaciers of Ice start off in 95? Rap Meyer Lansky, Crash Your Fantasy. So Ray on that street talking, if you look up Meyer Lansky, for those of you who aren't aware, Ray was talking Cristal a year before Jay was talking Cristal.
Let me get to these super chats. Chris Scott with a $20 super chat. Appreciate the love. Says, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to be on the platform. 2 brothers doing great things for the culture, and I salute you. Enjoy the show Friday from the greatest MC of all time. Appreciate the love, Chris. Appreciate you stopping by. Oh man, Leroy Green has a super chat. I'm looking forward to seeing what this is. It says, Leroy Green says, Ether is Nas' most talked about record post 96. Talked about by whom? That's our point.
Right. That's our point.
Not by us.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Right. Like, nobody should be really talking about the record if we're talking about
the media.
I think this is what I'll tell you. This is one of those totality conversations. Well, in the totality of all things for a diss record and for what the competitor was and for the stature of the competitor at the time of the competitor, you could say it's the greatest diss record ever. Now, I'll tell you it's top 3 because I think just as a pull-off, I prefer The Bitch and You and No Vaseline.
Yeah.
But outside of it being easily like a top 3, it definitely should be on everybody's top 5 diss record list. Outside of it being like an easy top 5 diss of all time, it's like, well, what should it be other than that? Right. Which you could also argue that The Takeover is as well.
I agree. CJ Kidd with the $20 super chat. Appreciate the love. He says, I don't know if you guys did this, but if you guys did Reasonable Doubt versus Stillmatic track for track real quick, I would wonder, will Stillmatic... he said, Still would be fair. I wonder how well Still would fare. Okay, I'm sorry, how well Still would fare. No agenda here, just curious on the matchup. I mean, we could do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. What's the track count looking like?
I mean, we know Reasonable Doubt is 14 records, right?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, off the top of my head, I think Reasonable Doubt would get that, but Michael Williams with the super chat. We can explore it. It says, if you had to make the ultimate KD compilation album with 15 songs, what would it be? Only criteria is you have to use at least 3 songs from each KD. Well, hold on. 15 songs, 3 songs? Oh, at least 3 songs. Okay. I have to go through the track list, but yeah, it'll end up being a great album. I know that.
From the first one, I would take Blue Benz, 27 Summers, and Spicy.
Okay.
Off top, just to do a quick 3 off KD2, I would take Death Row East and Store Run and Nobody. Yeah, that's right. We're putting Death Row East.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
You need some Death Row East in your life. And for KD3, I would take Legit. I would take Mike and Quincy. And I would take WTF SMH. Just off the top, I would take those I would take those 9 records right now, and I
Give me
would parse out the
Reminisce,
rest.
man. I love
But we
Reminisce.
starting off. But we starting off with Death Row East. That's the first song that's playing, Mike. That's the intro music. We're gonna play Death Row East first, then we're gonna work our way down.
Leroy Green with the $10 super chat. He says, let's have a lyrical exercise. Nas signed a record deal as a teenager, never having to survive the dark side of the streets, he described. Jay details lyrically is based on experience. You don't feel like Nas is based on experience as well? His man got killed, man.
I mean,
My man was shot for a sheep coat.
well, here's the thing about it, and let's just speak to this. I mean, I've never been to New York, Mike. This is actually going to be my first time going.
Really? Oh,
So I don't know.
I didn't know
Right.
that.
Yeah, I've never been.
That's gonna be fun then.
I've been around
New York's
the world,
gonna
but
show
I've
you a
never
good
been to New
time.
York City,
Union
right?
Square
Every time I
is
tell
gonna be
people
dope.
that, they're like, you of all people, like for everywhere you've been, I'm like, yeah, never been to New York City. But I imagine, Mike, I've been to Baltimore. I've been to Youngstown and Dayton, Ohio. I've been on the west side of Charlotte, east side of Atlanta. I've been to Compton, Mike.
Respectfully though, there's nothing like New York. Like I
No,
love
but
all
I get
of
it. But
those
it's
places,
like when you
but
come
yeah.
when you come from a certain type of area, Mike. What I'm saying is like, oh, everybody gonna see and do and go through shit. You do understand that, right? It is part of what has traumatized us as a people of color in this nation. Quite frankly,
Well, what's
Oppression is
different about
real.
New York is the fact that people are living on top of each other. Like, I was talking to my homeboy the other day about the Queensbridge projects and just how structurally these things are built. They're built damn near like, prison yards. You know
Prisons.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's
different. It's
institutionalization.
different. It's very different.
Institutionalization.
Because at
yeah.
least, you know what I'm saying, like in the hoods, at least in Atlanta and, even out west, people got their own space. You know what I'm saying? You got space. These people are living on top of each other like 30 stories up. It's crazy. It's very different. I would say that. Leroy
No,
Green with the super chat
I've heard.
also says, you both quote Jay more than any MC because the writing is more intricate and it's deeper than just drugs. You hear the context with life. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that talk and that ambition that Jay comes with, it's different, man. Like, that's why I wrote an article saying that Reasonable Doubt is the most ambitious album ever. And he executes on that.
I don't know if we quote him the most, though. I don't find that to be true.
I think it probably just resonates when we quote him with Leroy, probably. I hate Leroy missed the Tupac and Jay matchup that we did on Patreon. I mean, let me know if I did a good job representing Jay, Leroy. Man, I thought I did pretty good. We'll go through that in a second too. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, "Too far." I'm talking about with the Git mentioning Beyonce criticizing Jay's work is fine, but he took some personal shots from what I remember. I do think that the Beyonce thing is too far. I get his point, but I think when you start bringing in outside things, it comes across as something else. But again, the biggest thing here is I think anybody who was outside and was around when when Big and Pac were around, and Nas,
And Snoop.
we would have to ask ourselves, let's just say in a vacuum, right? We know what Jay's run looked like. What does that run look like inserting him into 1995, 1996? Does it supersede what we saw with what Tupac was doing, what Big was doing with the One More Chance remix and having Kick in the Door and having, Who Shot Ya and all of that stuff? Like, does it stand with that level of star power? Because I think one of the interesting matchups we had in our verses, when you played California Love, I thought, okay, well, I could play Empire State of Mind because they're both anthems for respected cities, states in that situation. But I was like, no, it's a quality issue. I think we all know California Love's a better song than Empire State of Mind. So I just went the club banger route and I played Give It To Me up against California Love. Give It To Me didn't win that. At least that's what I see right now. It was close at first. You think California Love's better than Give It To Me?
I don't even think those records are in the same stratosphere.
You think?
Because here's the thing. This is what I mean about being outside for something. It's like, okay, what's Jay's biggest record to you?
Well, that's where I was gonna go. I was gonna go on a banger, from a banger standpoint. And I think from a club standpoint, and the record that we hear the most now, like if you go out right now or go to somebody who's gonna play like some, throwback hip hop mix or whatever, I think Give It To Me is the record you're probably gonna get the most.
Okay, right.
Is that even better than I Get Around, you think?
Well, that's my prop. Okay, so let's unpack that right.
Okay.
Okay, so California Love for me is maybe, if it's one of Pac's 20 best songs, it's one of his. It's not one of his 10 best songs. It's one of his 10 biggest songs. You understand that?
Gotcha.
So
I would say the same thing about
Give
Give It To Me for Jay, though. I would say the same thing about Give It To Me for Jay.
Right, but this is what I mean. So this is them in both in hit-making single mode.
Mm-hmm.
California Love was a moment, Mike. Do you remember when Pac was getting out of jail, how people felt about that?
Yeah.
And how big that was? This is what I mean about, like, everything that people associate, like with Jay, the momentum, the stature, the status, the hoopla, the everything that comes that doesn't even necessarily involve the music, that's Pac. But Pac made the better record, too. You feel me? So it's like, how is it? And that's what I mean. Is it's like, well, I can't put Jay over Pac in my mind on a personal level, because it's like, no, I saw that happen. Like, he never made a song like California Love that people even felt that way about. On top of the fact that this man had Keep Your Head Up, I Get Around, and Dear Mama, and So Many Tears and Temptations before California Love, Mike. Those were all records that everybody swore by and played and were used.
What do y'all think is the better record? Give It To Me or California Love? Because I'm still thinking about it. Leroy Green with the super
Only
chat
in
says,
Cali will we riot, not rally. To live and die in LA, we wearing Chucks, not Bally.
Leroy
Ooh.
Green with the super chat says, it's not Jay's fault that Big and Pac died before his debut.
It ain't our fault that he wasn't as hot as them when he dropped his best album.
They didn't die before his debut, though.
He made his best album while they were around.
Right. Yeah, that's just not the truth. But
that's not the truth.
007 with the super chat says, Leroy Green sending super chats, and they all false. Nas must be performing at the Garden soon. Can y'all touch briefly on the NYMC's importance today? Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that, because we're gonna talk about how Friday's gonna go, what to expect, and what songs you think are gonna get played. Seek Bix with the super chat says, name a better solo hip hop artist 3-album run than Pac. Crickets.
No, I think there are MCs that have better 3-album runs, but I get what
Bigger,
you're saying.
I would say better and bigger. That's hard.
Oh, well, if you're talking better and bigger, then no.
Yeah, that's tough. 36 Chambers with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, Jay details things that happened in that time period, but instead of making timeless themes from his quote-unquote real talk, he leans mostly into hustler talk. Nas's music has more timeless themes to me and is more real because of that. Well, I want to talk about realness. I don't know if
real is the right word. I would say relatable is the right word. When you talk nostalgically, when you talk about themes that are timeless, which is going to bring about a nostalgia, it is easier for those to have life breathe, breaths of life, spoken into them concurrently more often, generation after generation, if we're talking about the songs. Because it's like Life's a Bitch. Timeless thing. Like even stuff like now, like Mike, when I listen to Take It in Blood now, the way that the 15-year-old in me looked at Take It in Blood in terms of the theme, and the way the 40-year-old at me looked at it. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? It's like when he says time is money when it comes to mine, take it in blood. I look at that line totally differently now at 40 than I did at 15. It's timeless.
I was talking to a friend of mine about this Drake Apollo show, right? When he did the Apollo show, and I'm thinking like, why does an artist that big like Drake have to do a venue like the Apollo? And then I thought like, okay, well, I think
You know how
Drake.
much he was charging, Mike?
Not, I'm sure it was
He
crazy.
made a grip off of that.
No, I feel that, but I'm saying like, and we're gonna talk about the Garden in a second too. But Drake can easily sell out the Garden. But I think
Easy.
what happened with Drake, he doesn't really have a strong core audience, and I think that he tries to go back and get a level of foundation hip hop support that he really doesn't have. And then I thought about Kanye, and I'm like, the reason why Kanye always will have that support is because of an album like The College Dropout. And whenever people speak of the old
Yes.
Kanye, they're talking about The College Dropout. And when you make something that's that relatable on a hip hop level, and like you said, timeless themes, listen to these songs. We Don't Care What People Say. Jesus Walks. Like, you can always go back to this record. You can always go back to these songs. You can always go back to these themes. I don't think that Jay-Z has made a more relatable album to me than College Dropout. Not a lot of people have. But I think that was one of Kanye's strongest assets, aside from his production early on, his relatability. And he was doing it in a way that most mainstream rappers just weren't.
How about this? What the College Dropout is it's like, well, if you're not from the projects, if you're not a hustler, if you don't have a great story, or if you're not just this all-time great wonderkin of a rhyme MC, you can still make it in this game and make music that people are going to bob their head to and like and will relate to. And so he bought a faction of our black populace that was still looking outside of the hip-hop culture, enjoying the music and liking the music, but a lot of people did not feel like that they were part of it until Ye, because they were just regular middle-class black folk.
Well, this is what I would say for the people who are probably going to jump in the chat or jump in our comment section later. When you weren't that person with the, from the projects or having that street, whatever, you were ostracized into the backpack range. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like, if you didn't have the street credibility, okay, well, now you're with the Roots. You know what I'm saying? You're with Talib.
I mean,
you're with
Yasin Bey is from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're with that crowd. And what Kanye was able to do was say, you know what? The biggest star in rap can also be a person with that kind of skill set. Could be a person with a common skill set. And not only did he do that for himself, he went back and made Common a mainstream factor. Jesus, nobody did that. Nobody could have done that for Common. Dr. Dre couldn't do that for Common.
I was actually about to say, Common, this is what I mean about like what you're talking about. Common from the south side of Chicago, Mike.
I know, but I'm just saying it's your approach. It's your approach with the music.
It don't get no realer.
No, definitely.
Like, you make it out of the south side of Chicago, I don't care what it is that you're doing. Like, you make it out the south side, you're real. You done seen some shit. You done been through some shit. Mike, that's what I'm saying is like, no, like, people understand is like, you don't go through areas like that not having done like any dirt usually.
No, but see, the thing is, man, and and I'm quoting Lil Yachty now, the easiest thing in rap to do is be hard. And some people who've been through those things, they don't want to perpetuate that in their music. We've seen, even in the culture we talking about Big and Pac and all of that, that street shit follows you. And some people take on the mindset like, look, I'm using music to get out of this. And I'm not carrying that type of energy with me. Ain't nobody gonna run up on Common. He doesn't carry that type of energy. You're not.
That's why J. Cole can walk around like anywhere right now. He don't carry that type of moniker as an MC where you feel like it might be some static if he show up in your neighborhood.
Exactly. And Kanye opened up the door for that to be successful on a high level. He ain't got to run around here with no bulletproof vest. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm not being funny. I'm just saying that's what it was at one time. Like, that's what a rapper's uniform was. Esquire with the super chat says, see you at the show Friday, Coop. Esquire in the building. Man, it's going to be a good time.
Esquire, pull up the sweet chick at 4:00, Union Square.
Union Square, it's on. Michael Sanders with the $20 super chat. Appreciate the love. He says, just showing love Keep up the perfection. Salute, Mike D and Coop. Salute to you too, sir. We got some more super chats in here. L Boogs with the super chat says, just want to wish Coop a safe trip to NY. We would have linked up if I was going. Shout out to everyone that's going. The concert is gonna be bananas. Yeah, it is. Leroy Green with the super chat. Leroy coming? Says you guys respect Nas describing what Jay experienced firsthand, but that's why Jay writing is more specific and detailed. Also, not stopping the HKL tour.
Hard Knock Life.
Yeah.
So hold on. So let's pause right there, right quick. I mean, Leroy, respectfully, when you talk about detailed writing, where are Jay's stories? Like that's what I'm saying. It's like
it gets no more detailed than stories.
Since he has these experiences that you speak of, because here's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, he has those experiences, but don't think he's the detailed writer that Nas is, because when he's describing those experiences, i.e. a friend or foe. Now, Mike, go play friend or foe. Like, the storyline. Well, no, he's being Jay Witty. You draw better be Picasso. No. There's all that going on. But the detail, Mike, that's why I like the setup so much. And I always talk about the setup. My mind's set. Sun got wet. I'm vexed, really. They snatched off his Rolex. Smacked this bitch silly. Now niggas acting ill. Word to Willie about to feel it. I feel it. We should have been dealt with it. Them niggas sour. They put too much flour in their coke. They got the nerve to wonder why they broke. While they was gleaming, niggas was scheming. No, that's detailed.
Yeah.
I know exactly what the fuck going on with the setup. So
nobody's more detailed with this story.
I was like, these niggas is out here flashing and faking the funk. I was like, oh, yeah, you're going to have to get them.
Where I feel like Ghostface and Scarface get you with the feeling and the emotion, Nas's gift to storytelling is detail. Nobody's more detailed in their stories than him.
Here's what I'll tell you about Ghost.
Ghost is very detailed too.
Like I told you, I love Shaky Dog Mike. When he's talking to the dude, he said, "You look paranoid. That's why I can't jokes with you." I'm like, no, that's a real detail, a real scene. Like when you about to rob somebody and you shaking and you sweating, and the other dude is like, "What the fuck are you doing? Calm the fuck." No, that's detail. That's different.
Yeah. Ghost sets the scene. You know what I mean? Like like the Hilton, he sets the scene. Like you put yourself, he put you there.
You're right there. Yeah.
Okay, Leroy Green, I would like to ask, since you want to talk about detailed stories, what would you say is Jay's top 5 storytelling songs? You got 5 for us?
You got 5 songs for us?
Yeah.
You got 5 stories?
Just 5. That's all we're asking for.
That's where your detail as a writer, as an MC really shows. That's why Slick Rick's lyricism is held so high. It's like, well, do you hear the detail of the stories that he writes?
Yeah. Give us 5. Or any Jay fan out there, not just Leroy. I don't want to just call you out.
And not just Meet the Parents. I told you, Mike, that's why I like 99 Problems. It's one of his few stories.
But is it a storytelling song from end to end, though?
Not really, but it's like it's got the he's in story writer mode in terms of the details that he's providing.
Okay. Jay Short with the super chat says, I think Can I Get Her is Jay's signature song for non-hip hop fans. Okay. That's kind of Ja Rule's record, but I guess we could say that about California Love. That was technically Dre's record at one time. So
yeah, I mean, if that's the analysis and comparison you want to make, California Love is way better than Can I Get It?
Yes,
Give It To Me is better than Can I Get It?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I tried to give Jay a better record. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, I'm from Jersey and I go to NYC for production school. I wish I could just meet you guys as a fan and pay my respects and be on my way. Safe travels. Fellas.
No. Pull up at 4:00 on Friday. Sweet chicken.
Yeah, man. We got to pull up in Jersey or something one time too, man. Pull up. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, so now Nas MSG has an importance. And they try to tell me for years it's they try to tell me not for a year in the comment section. They try to tell me not for years in the comment section. I mean, it's a very important show.
Unc from the Caribbean.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to Unc, man. You coming to the show, Unc? I know you out there in New York.
No. Didn't Unc come up on the Patreon and say he had already copped his ticket, I think?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, Unc in the building. Unc need to come up to Sweet Chick at 4 Union Square on Friday, too. But
Yeah.
to what he's saying, I mean, and I think this is a fair thing to say. Well, Mike, you and I really can't speak to that fairly because, well, quite frankly, from New York and we're not like New York based artists, so we don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I understand what the garden means, but like it seems like New Yorkers in the garden, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Or people from the East Coast per se, and it's like, no, I don't totally understand it in all honesty. So it's like I didn't know that it was this such a big deal that this was his first appearance in the garden. That's why I was like really feeling compelled to go. It's like, oh no, this shit's kind of like a really, really big deal. It's like, oh no, Nas has never done the garden before. It's like, so what? It's like, no, they're like, no, that's not okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know that it wasn't okay.
No, it's a big deal. Leroy Green with the super chat says, working class people relate to the hustle in America's economy, but again, you respect the life Nas describes more than that same life that Jay experienced. Listen, I look up to the hustle. I'm inspired by the hustle, and I mean, shit. That's why I like Hustler's Ambition from 50 more than I like Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Correct.
But I think that the totality of the career, Nas has just proven to be the superior of the two. Now, if you ask me on most days, would I rather put in Reasonable Doubt over Illmatic? Possibly. You know what I mean? Because some of that talk gets you going. Like, Can I Live puts you in a place where, like you said, you get your hustle on day to day, you going to work or whatever. But if I want to just vibe, I'm probably going to go Illmatic. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's different arenas for different things. But like Big Gip was trying to talk about when he was talking about Tupac, some people just give you more. And I think that the one thing that Jay gives you at his best, he gives it to you at a high level. But somebody like Nas has proven over the years that he could just do it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to get hype, he got records for that. You play Major Look. If you want to reflect, if you want to hear a story, if you want to just vibe, he can do all those things.
If you just want to hear somebody spaz on the mic, no idea is original. There's nothing new under the sun. It's never what you do, but how it's done. What you base your happiness around. Material, women, and large paper. That means you inferior, not major. Like, he just got shit out the ass like that, Mike. Like he got that in spades. Like, where it's just like, you'll hear him on a track, and it's like, oh, no. He's really like, he's different. He can rap his ass off. Like, he's different.
Jay Short with the super chat says, honestly, the play changes. I get around, and how do you want it? They play changes. I get around, and how do you want it more than California Love out here? How do you want it might be his, fan favorite. Really?
Ooh, I forgot about how you want it. That's what I mean. There's so many bangers, Mike.
He got a lot of bangers. Platinum Fan with the super chat says, Mike, why don't you think the KD2 is a classic? Also, gonna be an MSG show. Hope to see y'all there.
Pull up
I'm just reserving my judgment for KD2 being a classic because I feel like Magic and KD3 are better. And maybe if those records never came out, I might think KD2 was a classic. Because we were speaking very highly of KD2 until Magic dropped. And we still were. Because it was the runaway album of the year at that point.
I think it's all about what you prefer. See, I look at Magic very much like I do look at Illmatic. And I don't mean in comparison of Illmatic. I mean like lightning in the bottle type of album / project that you're probably not going to get again.
And that makes it a classic alone.
Right. But in the sense of what a traditional hip-hop album has become known to be, and in the context of songwriting, song making, versatility, offering different emotions and perspectives. Listen to what I'm about to say. I'm not calling it Life After Death, but it has a lot of the components, the same components that make Life After Death a classic in a lot of ways, with the exception of like the obviously like home run singles, but the totality of it that makes it a classic. KD2 has a lot of that because there's a little bit of everything on there. There's a My Bible, but there's a bunch on Sunday.
Yeah, I look at KD3 like
there's a Rare, but there's a YKTV. You know what I'm saying? There's a Death Row East. Yeah, there is.
Christopher Hogan with the super chat
Store
says,
Run Nobody, anybody? Can I interest you in Store Run or Nobody?
I love
Would you
Nobody
like an
and
instant
Story.
classic? Come on, come on. I was like, well, that's an instant classic. Then Nobody came on. It's like, and then we have instant classic number 2.
I gotta go revisit our KD2 review the day it came out, and I want to go back and see some of the stuff that we said about it. I'm pretty sure we were thoroughly impressed. That's what I remember.
Definitely, it's definitely no Death Row East on Magic or KD3.
Christopher Hogan with the super chat says, "Where is Jay's Thug Mansion or changes like Pop?" You know, okay. Let me go to the list because Coop went. No, I went first. So I played Dead Presidents 2, and then Coop played I Ain't Mad at You. Dead Presidents
Which, by the
1.
way,
Dead Presidents
which, by the
1.
way, we didn't bring that up either.
What?
That's another one of Pac's big records, and shame on people like Mad Max that were in there trying to say they wasn't feeling I Ain't Mad at You. Shame on you.
And then I played Heart of the City because I wanted to go to some of the records with Jay dug deep, right? And then Coop played Shed So Many Tears. Heart of the City beat Shed So Many Tears.
I don't think you should have won either one of those necessarily.
Then I wanted to change it up a little
Dead
bit.
Presidents too. You shouldn't have won So Many Tears though.
Then I wanted to change it up and I played 1,000,001. And then you played Picture Me Rolling. 1,000,001 won that as well.
Definitely some East Coast bias going on.
So this is where I tried to, because I know the person mentioned changes and all of that stuff. I was like, okay, well, let me continue to, because I know Coop, what he has in his arsenal. I'm going to go with some deep records. So I went, This Can't Be Life. And then you played Keep Your Head Up. Keep Your Head Up blew This Can't Be Life out the water. That was, 95% to 4%.
It's very problematic.
And then I was like, okay, well, let me change it up. Let me do some party vibe stuff, but not too party where it's corny. So I did The Rock Boys. And then Coop played My Block. My Block beat The Rock Boys 56% to 43%.
My Block is the shit. It might be my favorite Tupac song.
And then Coop played Hail Mary. And you know what?
Come with me.
I was thinking, my first thought was like, Hail Mary. Because what I'm trying to do at this point is trying to show that Jay got records to match these Pac records, right? So my first thought, I was like, Hail Mary, Lucifer. And I was like, no. And then I played The Evils.
That was a smart play.
The Evils lost to Hail Mary. 60% to 40%.
Hey, hold on. Isn't that one of the songs that Nas says he wish he made?
Hail Mary, yep.
Yeah, that's one of the records. I told you, Mike, Hail Mary special.
Coop played No More Pain. And, with the Timbaland drums there, I was like, okay, well, I want to play a Timbaland record to kind of show the versatility and the flow that Jigga has over those drums. So I played Nigga What, Nigga Who. No More Pain won that one. And then Coop played California Love. And like I said, I played Give It To Me. Give It To Me was winning in the moment, but now California Love's winning 62% to 38%. So boom, 5-3 Pac right now. Then you play Pour Out a Little Liquor. I had You Don't Know in the arsenal. I had to let that one go, so You Don't Know wins that.
That's fair.
That was 81% to like 9.
That might be his best record, though. 19%. You had to play his best record to beat Pour Out a Little Liquor.
And then you played Dear Mama. I really didn't have anything to match Dear Mama. I mean, because I could easily go subject for subject and do Smile or Song Cry, but I didn't think those songs were strong enough to compete with Dear Mama, so I played Can I Live? And Dear Mama, was a great record. Dear Mama won 60% to 40%. And then I played PSA because we did a bonus because we had a tie at the moment. And I was like, well, let's do 11 rounds so we don't have any ties. I played PSA and you played Ambitions as a Rider, and Ambitions as a Rider won that. So it looks like it's 7-4 Tupac.
Should really be 9-2, but whatever.
Let me get to the super chats and then I want to hear what people had to say about it.
It should be at least 8-3. You have no business beating So Many Tears. It should be 8-3.
Oh, let me get to the super chats and then we'll break this down.
Take all the time.
Jay Short with the super chat says, didn't Nas describe his life on God's Son, Street's Disciple, Life is Good, and the entire KD series? I know Nas' adolescent friends. Who are Jay's? Ty. MJ West Solutions LLC with the $20 super chat, just showing love. Appreciate the love, MJ Solutions. MJ West, excuse me. Solutions. LP with the super chat. LP in the building says, Leroy got to stop. Jay never described a death the way that Nas did about Ill Will on the second verse of My Way, on the physical and spiritual tip.
Ooh, I forgot about that one. Ooh,
man, so many.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Epic.
Mike, he's got. How about this? Some of his unheralded stories. Like, do you remember how I Am ends with Undying Love? The chick that cheats on him, and that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't even talk about that small world.
Yeah.
People don't even talk about these, Mike. Like, you got so many stories. It's ridiculous. Him and Ghost and Scarface have so many stories. It's like hold on. It's like, which album did he do?
Yeah, they're on another level.
The song where he talking about this story. You remember that story where he was talking about such and such? It's like, oh.
But that's detailed writing, though. Like, your most detailed writing in hip-hop is going to come from the stories.
Period.
Because you have to follow chronological things. You can't just go in there like Wayne does and just rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of details involved in stories. Even when you hear the few times that Andre 3000 has spit stories, those are his most detailed bars.
So I'm going to tell you something. That's why I've always given Biggie more credit than Jay for that whole not writing the rhyme down thing. It's like, oh, you didn't write down niggas bleed or somebody gotta die?
Yeah. and when Jay says that about not writing anything, and when Jay talks about not writing anything down, the stuff that impresses me is the girls, because of the format. The 44 fours, 22 twos, and things like that. And I'm like, oh, well, that's crazy that you didn't write that.
Right. But is there a niggas, but does he have a niggas bleed floating around? Or I got a story to tell, or somebody gotta die? Because like Big not writing that stuff is super ill.
I think one of Jay's most impressive mic performances, if you want to talk about detailed writing and stuff, it's 44 fours to me.
I love 44 fours.
Because when I heard that, I was like, yo, next level.
If I was doing a verses and I had Jay's catalog and you played me some like super lyrical rap shit, that would be the record of his that I would actually play to combat you. It's like, oh, you want to play that shit? Mm-hmm. It's like, boom. Like how about this? If you played something like a Take It in Blood or a Silent Murder, that would be what I would play back.
Rockefeller Forever, Hold for Life. First debut album, got 4 mics. Should have got 5, but niggas lack foresight. Yeah. See, that's impressive stuff. Yeah, I didn't do it for the hype. Shit. I did it for the hustlers, for the ghetto, for the plight. Yeah. Rain 40 days, 40 nights. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Leroy Green with the super chat says, so Jay didn't give you his story in detail on his first 2 albums, Coming of Age, A Week Ago, Meet the Parents, Minority Report. The whole American Gangster album. See, when people say the whole, then that means okay.
But listen, hold on. But listen to the songs that you're naming, though. You really want to do that? Like,
Coming of Age, A Week Ago, Meet the Parents, Minority Report.
That's not. I'm sorry, dude. I just said somebody gotta die. I got a story to tell, and niggas bleed. And the only thing that you gave me was A Week Ago.
Minority Report. Excuse me. Shouldn't even come up.
It's trash.
Uncle Fran with the super chat says, yeah, I got my ticket since November 15th. That's right. Uncle Fran's going to be in the building.
Yeah, Uncle in the building.
Latoria with the super chat
says, tell your wife to let you out, Unc. Come on. Tell the missus go ahead and let you out. Say, I'm going to play with the fellas tonight.
Latoria with the super chat says, Coop, how long you going to be out here hanging at, how long you going to be out there hanging at Sweet Chicks?
How long do we need to be there, Latoria? You tell me. I don't know how these streets work. As long as we making it to the show by I'd say about 7 for the. I think like you know I like the DJ Mike, and I've never been to New York before, so I'm very fascinated to see how the Madison Square. First of all, I want to know who the fuck the DJ is.
Yeah.
And then I want to know, I want to see Madison Square Garden obviously, and kind of like make my way around.
Might be Kid Capri or something.
Right. Okay. I don't want. Never mind. I was about to be shady. Yeah, so I'm interested to see who the DJ is, but I kind of want to see the Garden a little bit. So I would like to be in the building by like 6:30, 7-ish, so I can kind of like feel the DJ, get the crowd, kind of check it out, suck it all in, take some footage, But I plan on being that sweet chick for at least a couple of hours. Would be like kind of the plan. I think the plug said like the walk from Union Square to the Gardens like 25 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds
So
about
it's
right.
like, yeah. So,
Just You Run with the super chat says both Nas and Jay are great lyricists. They both can be one or two on anybody's list. I agree with that. Just You Run until this KD run, and I mean, again, I'm a person that had Jay at number one, but he ain't put out an album since 444, and it wasn't that, 444 is, what it is. And then you got Holy Grail before that, and then before that, on a solo tip, you got the Blueprint 3. I would be dishonest to say that there's still they're still like damn near tied after Nas just dropped KD 1, 2, 3, and Magic in 2.5 years. I can't say that, man. Like, I can't do that. If they were tied at one point, great. But they're not anymore. That's just dishonest. American Gangster is literally, what is that? 14. Oh, no. Hold on. That's, let me get my math right. That was 2000. Nigga, that's 16 years ago. 16 years ago, bruh.
No, 14, Mike. It's 23. It came out in 2009, right? Not 2007.
No, that was Blueprint 3. It came out in 2007. American Gangster is 16 years old.
Oh, you're right. I'm thinking about the Blueprint 3.
Yeah, no. 16 years ago,
American
man.
Gangster old as fuck, Mike. That came out the year my daughter was born. You're right.
So, I mean,
I
can't keep holding on to that, man. If they both would have,
has it been 16 years?
It's been 16 years,
Mike. That's like imagine somebody when Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em come out? 91.
No, yeah, 90, yeah, 91.
That's like niggas in 07 still talking about Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, Mike. You're like, yo, you remember when God did Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em in 91? You mean in 91, fam? The God in 91? In 2007?
That's like me in 1998. You know what I mean? Like, niggas
What
still talking about like Thriller like it just came out or something.
What we doing?
Like, come on. Mad Max in the super chat says Madison Square Garden is the Mecca. We view that like a royal palace. I love New York, man. Jermaine Johnson with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, Coop, for the possible surprise appearance, who do you think is at the top of the list to most likely pop up? I hope that we get Miss Lauryn Hill to come out and do Nobody, and then close the show up with If I Ruled the World. Do you think there are going to be any surprises?
I think all great shows tend to come with surprises. So sometimes the surprise is the set. I think in hip hop, a lot of the time it's the guest artist. So do I expect to see some people in the garden? Oh yeah. I mean, Mike, to be honest with you, I think a lot of the greatest MCs who ever lived are about to be in the building on Friday.
So what if we get an EPMD 2 with EPMD?
No, that's what I mean. Well, there's many
Eminem.
ways we could go. I was like, you could even go new and bring Fabio, and what's his name out for Spicy.
I think that's going to happen. Yeah, I think Ferg's going to come out. I think the YG's going to come out. I see that Hit Boy connection or whatnot. I could see that. But do you think Eminem's going to come out? You think Eminem will come out? I think he should.
It's Nas at the Garden, so this is his moment. So, yeah, I'm expecting, he's got work with Kiss. Like, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, this is what I mean. Is like, it could be big. I mean, he can get everybody to come out and perform John Blaze, and the crowd will sing Pun's part.
Hold on. Are they doing that, or is it just straight up KD series?
I mean,
stuff?
It is, but that's what I'm saying. But he's Nas, and this is Nas in the Garden, so it's like you don't really know. It's like, what if John Blaze come on he and Fat Joe and Ray and Kiss walk out, and then they go into the Made You Look. You don't know really, because it's like, think about what the catalog looked like. It's like he can go wherever he want. Like, think about it. He could do a KD set, 15 songs, like Fam said, and then pick another 10 songs to do and just be like bang, 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 and just start hitting you with shit. He's got it like that.
MJ
so it'll be
West,
interesting to see.
MJ West Solutions LLC with another $20 super chat. Appreciate the love. He says, really appreciate what you guys are doing. 100 with the, you know what I'm saying, the arm emoji. Man, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate the ability to be able to do this with y'all and actually have this hip hop talk with hip hop heads. I mean, I think even with what Gip is out here doing with Art of Dialogue, giving his opinion, those are barbershop talks. Like, we're able to sit here and have barbershop talk with like 400 something people, right? And everybody's able to kind of give their input, and we explain where we're coming from with our input. MC with the super chat says, there is no GOAT, just an elite group of MCs. Oh, there's a GOAT. Again, I mean, we match Nas up with everybody in the world. I mean, it's like his catalog stands alone. His lyrical skills stands
see
alone.
that this is why it's so important to me that we kind of get our list done, because it's like, no, you can kind of feed him through any metric.
Yeah.
And how about this? It used to be Big was the guy that if you put Big on any metric or measure and actually just averaged it out, it's like, oh, well, he's top 5 on every measure. It's like, no, that's Nas now.
Yeah, and I think we had to give hip hop some time because in the 90s,
Right.
hip hop wasn't really old enough for us to really have a real GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had their time. But now we're seeing, okay, this person has a career that spans 30 years. And they sound rejuvenated. They sound fresh. They just made 4 albums in 2.5 years that were quality. And you know what I mean? And you could put 2 or 3 of the albums that he made 20 years in with stuff that he made his first 5 years in. That's GOAT stuff right there. And we weren't able to do those things in the 90s.
There is. Now, here's the one thing that I could say that you could hold against him in that GOAT argument is that, well, if you told me that you enjoyed Biggie and Tupac songs more while they were here and he was here, okay.
Yeah.
You feel me? But that, Mike, that's it.
But
you understand it? That's it.
The problem
you understand
with
what I'm
that
saying is like, oh well, if you like Biggie or Tupac more while they were here than him, that's okay. That is about all you can say, because that's really about all the evidence that you have of somebody really being better over the duration of this.
I mean, if you ask us who the better MCs were at that time between the 3, most people would probably say Nas. I mean, like everybody had
Nas was a better MC than both of them. Yeah. Like everybody knew that.
Yeah. So I mean,
those two knew that. Like lyrically, like how about this? He is an MC at their core is who they really wanted to be. They became diverse because they're not him, like lyrically, because they all came around a time where the lyrics super mattered. He was the guy with the lyrics and the message.
But they had the hits over him at the time, you know.
Oh, they had better voices than him, and not a lot of people can say that either.
That's
like
true.
They had better rap voices than him.
36 Chambers with the $20 super chat. Y'all showing love today. We really appreciate it. He said, I'm a working class person. After a while, billionaire talk isn't relatable. I want something from an artist who has not only made it out of the lifestyle, but remembered it. I ain't forgot the roaches and the mice. Nas, KD3. You know, and Big Gip kind of spoke to that too. Did you hear that part of the interview when Big Gip said he ran into Chuck D getting his license renewed or whatever? And he said, I didn't know you lived in Atlanta, Chuck. And he was like, yeah, man, you know, I've been here for years. And he's like, that's what's up. He's like, that's the kind of people that, you know, he likes the kind of artists that whose feet aren't too far from the ground. And that's people's prerogative. Sometimes people like somebody who carries themselves as an everyday person. They have a message that seems to be not tainted by money and billionaire talk. And I can see how billionaire talk can get
like both. How about this, Mike? I like both. That's why I'm such a Prince fan. It's like, Prince will sit up here and, you know, tell you that you're not worthy to do a song with him. But he'll also turn around and do a concert for the entire city of Baltimore for free.
I think,
you feel me?
I think the whole worthiness thing.
You can do both.
I think
Pac is both. Pac is both. Pac is the dude that like literally is on TV and on the movie screen and is pulling up in your neighborhood shooting motherfucking dice.
It's true. I think the thing with Prince and the whole, you know, not doing songs with people, he didn't want the big companies to have access to anything that he had worked on. And
I also
working
think he
with an
was super
artist,
arrogant. He didn't think people were talented enough to work with him, Mike.
well, that
Like he's super arrogant.
well, he earned that, man. That's why people
Right.
say Michael Jordan is arrogant. He earned that. DeCarlo with the
I
super
told you I
chat.
dealt with Mike. Mike's super arrogant.
He's Michael Jordan. I mean, DeCarlo with the super chat says, none of the KD albums are classic. They're just really great. Okay.
You want to unpack that? Hold on. I think we should maybe unpack that a little bit because I think that goes back to, well, if you had never heard Nas before and you didn't know Illmatic and it was written and Stillmatic and the Lost Tapes exist, would you say that?
It's a good point.
In
You
this
know, and I
era,
try
probably
to
not.
listen to albums in an isolated vacuum, right? For better or for worse. Like I listen to the albums without considering the artist. Or at least I try to. I mean, we all have our bias that creeps in. When I listen to 444, I try to listen to it as an album that, you know, if this is just, you know, any other artist, a Fabulous, a Skyzoo or whatever, it's just great. Same thing we did with the Skyzoo album, All the Brilliant Things. I listened to that album like this is a brilliant album. You know what I mean? Like you listen to the album for what it
Great.
is. And I feel
Yeah, it's
like
great.
if I'd listened to KD3 and KD2, but KD3 specifically, and it wasn't Nas and it was just some artist that, you know, was emerging or whatever, I'd be like, man, this is great. If Freddie Gibbs made KD3,
I was actually thinking, what if Pusha T made KD too? Do you know how we would be talking about him
It's
and his
true.
diversity and his
It's true.
growth and his development as an artist? If he think about this, if he had a brunch on Sunday and a Count Me In,
Yeah, you're right.
then
You're right.
like
Certain
how about this?
people
What's
we
that
hold
record
to a
on his
different
album?
standard.
Hold on, what's that record on his album with Lil Yachty?
Huh? On
What's that record on Pusha T's album with what's his name?
you talking about the one with Uzi?
with Uzi.
Um,
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't YKTV and Spicy blowing that record out the fucking water?
oh,
Though,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's not even. It's not even.
You feel what I'm
comparable.
saying? So this is what I mean. So it's like when you're saying KD2 and KD3 and like all this stuff's not classic. Nah, fam. You looking at it from the dude who made like 2 or 3 or 4 of the best 50 hip hop albums ever before this run.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. It's like, well, this shit not, it was written. No shit, motherfucker. Neither is anything else out here in the market right now. People, it's like this. I was actually having this conversation with somebody. I don't know how we got here. It's like, well, Mike, you know, the price of the white stuff in the 70s, when you could go through customs for free and what the price about to be now versus the Mike, you can't when the shit been stepped on and there's different laws and restrictions and regulations now. You want the same product? You want some Peruvian flake to come across the water and be served to you.
Well, at that
You
point,
feel what I'm saying? That's what people
point,
asking for. People acting like they're not borders and customs and laws and regulations set up now.
Well, at that point, if we're talking about music, let me go back to that.
I'm talking about the music.
People are
it's the
gonna
same
be
thing.
like,
the same hustle.
no, but when you try to do it like that musically, people will be like, oh man, he tried to recreate yada yada yada. Like I hate it when, as much as I love that song that Method Man and Busta did, What's Happening, I think, and this was like in the early 2000s, I didn't like them trying to recreate Bring the Pain. You can't recreate that stuff. It looked too clean. It had chicks in it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, this ain't Bring the Pain. Don't recreate that. Do something different. And so I appreciate the fact with the KD series, he didn't try to recreate anything. Because when you try to recreate it, you can't recreate it.
Mike, remember the first time you had sex? How did it feel? How many times have you felt that way since?
Well, I mean, that's the whole drug thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Everybody's chasing that
like,
first
high.
It's not coming back.
And facets of life with it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like you can go to the first joint that you smoked, the first cigarette you smoked, the first taste of alcohol that you had, the first piece of ass that you had. Like you can go across the board and say, remember the first time that you had that? Well, nothing replaces that.
Right.
So you talking about the first 2 or 3 hits you got off the man's music. You're like, oh man, that shit got me so high. It's the first 2 or 3 times you took a hit. What you think was supposed to happen to you? Did you think that you were just supposed to sit there and be sober?
Yeah. Rigger 49er with the super chat says, I just want to address the list. How is Cube not higher on the list? Death Certificate is top 3 album. Jay-Z don't got an album on that level. I would love to put Death Certificate up against the Jay album. We should do Death Certificate and Reasonable Doubt one day.
I think Death Certificate's too long for Reasonable Doubt, but I don't think that it's better. But it's in the conversation.
It's a personal favorite of mine.
They're in the same realm, but I think Reasonable Doubt's better than Death Certificate, respectfully.
I might be a little biased. That's a personal favorite of mine. Leroy Green with
Death Certificate doesn't have the star power that Reasonable Doubt has in terms of like, well, there's not really there's no feeling it, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's conceptually and stylistically more beautiful to me. It's definitely more important if we're talking about the rhetoric of our socioeconomical and psychological struggle in the projects. But yeah.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, Coop, you can describe Mike in rhyme, but not better than Mike can rhyme his real experience. Oh, it said, Coop, you can describe Mike in rhyme, but not better than Mike can rhyme his real experience. This is why Jay-Z can still put in wordplay on top of that.
No, I think this is what happens, okay? This is what I was trying to say, and I'm going to just say this in a more simple way. Out in the streets, well, Jay's a better hustler than Nas, and there's evidence of that in the streets. You feel what I'm saying? Not in music, in the streets. All right? There's evidence of that from Jay's lifestyle prior to music. But too often we assume that because somebody did X amount in prior life, that they're the only person that done it. You get what I'm saying? Is it's like, well, if you know how the game works, well, there's a hierarchy. And stop acting like other people haven't been into the game just because Jay was higher up on the hierarchy. You're talking about the hierarchy of how the streets work and where Jay was. That doesn't mean other people weren't putting in work. That's Mike, I came up on here and it's like I told you, it's like, well, my family's from West Boulevard and I came up on West Boulevard in Beatty's Ford. I never sold anything on any of those corners. Does that mean I haven't done anything? Because I didn't do it there, then at that time where people know me and my family, you get what I'm saying? That don't mean that. I'm proof that that's not true.
Leroy Green with another super chat says, both of you guys have a great weekend. Appreciate you. No, you're not bowing out, are you, Leroy?
Fly your ass in from the Yay area to Cali and come to New York, nigga.
Yeah, come through. DeCarlo with the super chat says, who the hell said Heart of the City was better than Shed So Many Tears?
I told people crack cocaine's coming back. You see how people are behaving? There is inflation. There is a president. We have inflation at a hyper level. We have an old president who may keel over at any moment. The only thing we are missing is the fuckery of the crack cocaine. That's the only thing.
Deontay Smith with the super chat.
Probably about to lose money.
I was going to say. Deontay Smith with the super chat says, Hail Mary was special when you consider Pac used the worst producer on Death Row.
The disrespect is real.
Who produced it? Who produced Hail Mary? Just You Run with the super chat says, Pac is not as good of a lyricist as Jay and Nas. Pac was definitely the most impactful, though. Pac has bad to mid songs, too. Pac's first two albums was just all right.
First of all, I think Strictly For My Niggas is better than All Right.
A lot of people really love Tupacalypse now.
First of all, those people aren't right, but Strictly For My Niggas is a solid album.
Our man with the super chat says, peace. I will be at Madison Square Garden 2 this Friday. Sweet Chicks is on the list. Why does no one talk about Sticky Fingers slaying Eminem on Remember Me off the Marshall Mathers LP? It's a good question. He really did. I love that. I like that record. That's one of the records I like off that.
You're getting Mike started. Hold on. First of all, you want to know? I want you to come to Sweet Chick at 4:00 in Union Square, and I want you to talk to me about why you're getting Mike started with some Sticky Fingers and Eminem talk when we're supposed to be going to the Garden, fam. What are you doing? What are you doing?
We got Rossier Gomez with the super chat. He says, I would pick Tupac's Hellraiser of any Jay, Nas, or Biggie song.
You're tripping, but next.
But see, Pac's that kind of artist, though, where people have their individual favorite records. You know what I mean? Just You Run with a super chat.
Not to that extreme, Mike. That's extreme.
Yeah, that's extreme. Just You Run with the Super Chat says, Big is the best hands down, more impactful than Nas and Jay when he was alive, and was a better MC than Pac. Did he have the versatility that Pac had lyrically, though?
He didn't have the depth. See where Biggie and Jay fall short of Pac is depth.
And
Like
I
they can't
feel
swim
like
to the
Biggie
waters.
would
That
have.
they can't swim in the waters that he swims in. I'm sorry.
I think that
They just
Biggie
can't.
would have developed some level of depth over time. I think Sky's the Limit is an example of that. You could
Yeah, you about
tell.
to say that, Mike?
No, but I just, you could tell that he was evolving. You know what I'm saying?
I dig it, Mike. Where's Sky's the Limit on
You
Biggie's
just don't like
catalog?
it because it's happy. You know what I'm saying?
It's not, Mike. It's not all that. It's one of the weaker moments of life after
I
death.
like
Like,
Sky's
let's
the
just
Limit.
call it what it is. Like you can like it. It's one of the weaker moments. It's like when people talk about life after death, they'd be like, "Ooh, sky's the limit." No, nobody says that, Mike. Nobody.
I
When I
like
be
where
like,
he took
be
it
like,
on Sky's the Limit because you listen
like,
to the same guy who did not Kicking the Door, but on the first album, the record you love so much, Give Me the Loot. You listen to Give Me the Loot, and then you listen to Sky's the Limit. And you're like, wow, this is the growth from first album to
no,
second
that's
album.
what I
That's a
mean.
big gap.
See, you talking about that pretty shit. I'm talking about the record. I'm talking about the fact that how about this? This is what I mean about Sky's the Limit. You know how many times we come up on here, we've been like, man, that's the best ending to a rap album ever. The World is Filled, My Downfall, Long Kiss Goodnight, You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You. Mike, those 4 records alone are better than that. And then you get to Notorious Thugs, Last Day, I Love the Dough, Niggas Bleed, I Got a Story. What's beef? I haven't even bought up the Primo records, 10 Crack Commandments, and Kick in the Door. Fucking You Tonight.
Yeah.
Hypnotize Somebody. Mike, it's a bottom 3 record. It's right down there with Nasty Boy and Player Hater. Right there. You Nasty Boy, Player Hater, and another. You all get in a bag together. You are the weakest links on Life After Death.
I still like those songs. So
Hop in. You can like no. Those songs are good, but on those albums,
yeah.
bottom.
Rigger49 with the super chat says, I would take Pac Blasphemy over any J, Big, or Nas song. Also, why Scarface ain't in the conversation. Face's catalog speaks for itself. It does. Let's see.
Agreed.
Latoria with the super chat says, I'll be at the show. I'm going to try to make it to Sweet Chicks. If not, I hope to see you there. I got floor seats. If you're down there, hopefully I'll run into y'all. Uncle Fran with the super.
All,
go ahead.
The plug was trying to get me floor seats, but her friend, I'm going to talk to her friend.
Okay.
But I got some pretty good seats anyway.
Uncle Fran with the super chat says, does any of those storytelling MCs have a non-linear story like Meet the Parents? That's Tarantino style. Are we good? You know what? You guys are treating Meet the Parents like a day in the life of Andre Benjamin. That's what this is.
First of all, I know we're not having a storytelling conversation where we're talking about Ghostface Killer and you talking about non-linear stories. Hello. Have you ever heard a story from Ghostface in your life? As in, like, almost all of them are non-linear. Like, Ghost just talks in non-linear terms. Heavy rain, fuck my kicks up. Wasn't looking, step in the puddle. Bitch laugh. First thought would be to bitch up. It's like he speaks in non-linear terms almost all the time.
Moseyed off gracefully. Who talks like that, man?
You're talking about non-linear.
You know, I
all
think
the Ghost stories are non-linear.
Supreme Clientele might have been one of the few moments I can remember in hip hop where I heard an album from somebody I had already heard before, and the nigga kind of became my favorite rapper just that moment. Because usually those things happen when you hear somebody for the first time. When I heard Supreme Clientele, I was like, yo, this nigga's one of my favorite rappers ever.
You want to know what I think it is, Mike? Is that I don't think we've ever heard an MC that we heard so much material from prior to get in an all-time great zone that late. I think that's what makes Supreme so special. If you look at how much classic work he had actually already put in group-wise and with Ray before, I don't think anybody's been that, like, great for one album that late into their career. That's where a Supreme is special. It's like, hold on, he's 6-7 years in there. Don't he already got a couple classics with Ray, a couple group classics? It's like, he sound like, you know, it's rare that you hit that zone like that.
I saw it coming with Stand Up with Charlie Baltimore and with
Ooh,
the
stand up.
Killer Bees album and like what was it, the
Ooh,
97
Cobra Clutch.
mentality. Yeah, like I
Cobra
saw little
Clutch.
things coming and then it just yeah.
Cobra Clutch is when I was like, oh, I'm like, Ghost of Problem out here, like
Right.
like
Shoot,
top
even the
MC type
game
of
with
problem.
Pete Rock, it was like, oh yeah, he's rapping crazy. Jay Short with the super chat says, I would
I didn't
love for
love
you
that one.
guys to do an American Gangster versus KD2 or Life is Good. So we can stop hearing how classic American Gangster is in the chat. It's good, it's not
American
great.
Gangster
Okay.
not like that, Mike. I
I
keep
like
trying
that
to
too.
tell you, no, it's not like that.
I like that too. So I think we could pick one of the two, right? We could pick either KD2 or Life is Good and do it up against American Gangster so that, we could stop. We could either say both a classic or we could just stop calling either one a classic, right?
You don't want to do that. I'm trying to tell you. Look here, especially with that KD too. You don't want to do that to American Gangster. I'm telling
All right, we got Gary Pierce with the super chat. He says, "Peace King,
you.
just shows are must sees for me. Uh, Fiending for the Nas Madison Square Garden show this Friday. Can't wait to see the show. See you guys there." Well, for the people who are just tuning in, Coop's gonna be there. I gotta be in Atlanta doing something with Mickey Fax here in the studio, but we're gonna get some dope freestyles out of it and some bars and some content. But yes, I think that Friday maybe could report live from Sweet Chicks, or maybe we'll work
Yeah,
it
I'm
up.
gonna see. I'm gonna have I'm gonna have some tools with me to like to get busy and pull up live if we need to. So we're just gonna kind of play that by ear. I'm gonna see if I can't get nestled into a location where I maybe can go live, bring some of our live followers who have helped make us who we are on with me that hopefully will be in the building.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love congregating and walking with the people. You know what I think about sometimes when I think about New York, Mike? I think about the scene from Malcolm X where he made him turn and all point and walk. I want to do some of that shit. Not saying I want to be the guy pointing and walking. I just want us all walking in unison. Like, yeah, we going to the garden, motherfucker. I wish you would.
Right. Rigger 49er with the super chat says, I'm gonna say my list again. Number 1, Tupac. Number 2, Cube. 3 stacks.
Must be from the West Coast. No, he's disqualified.
He's
We don't want to hear any more of his super chat. He's out. He's out.
4
No.
Nas.
Cut that off.
4 Nas, 5
Send him his money
E40
back.
slash Scarface. If you're not addressing the pain, the struggle, and the heart, you can't be the GOAT.
Send him his money back. Like you said, 3 stacks. Send him his money back. Every time somebody says 3 stacks, we're going to be like, and Big Boy.
And Big Boy. Yeah, just say Outcast, right? DeCarlo with the
Say
super
Outkast.
chat says, are y'all going to finish putting Slick Rick through the top 50 list today?
We were
I
talking
think
about
that
that.
he
Yeah.
finishes. He said, I think he finishes in the top 18. We'll do that. We'll do that since people want to see Slick Rick continue on. We'll do that. Leroy Green says, acting like Jay-Z hasn't told stories, including his own, many times on a great level, is why the GOAT debate is not real. It's favoritism over Jay's proof. Okay.
I just brought up 99 problems in his favor, Leroy. How can you say that when I'm bringing up 99 problems? And I'm telling you that has the description and details enough for me to classify it as a story. I'm trying to give the man some credence here. Mike, you and I were just quoting bars from Excuse Me Miss last week. Stop making it seem like we're being disrespectful. Niggas on other podcasts that think this nigga is the greatest MC of all time don't quote Excuse Me Miss. So excuse me, sir.
I think that if we're talking about a story from end to end.
You get on the red out of New York, Leroy. I'll see you in Union Square.
I think if we're talking
I don't even
about
know where the
story,
hell Union Square is, Mike.
I think if we're talking about storytelling from end to end, right? He doesn't have as vast of a catalog as he has. He doesn't have like the number of proof that somebody like a Nas or Scarface or Ghost or shit, even Slick Rick or Pop or Biggie even has. And I think that's due to how he composes in his head. Storytelling MCs normally have to write, like you said. That's what makes Biggie so impressive. I think there are more notable stories, and I say this respectfully. I think there are more notable storytelling moments on Life After Death than there are in Jay-Z's whole career.
I just bought up the 3 that are on disc 1. That's why I
Yeah.
bought them up.
I mean,
Like
if we're talking
somebody
about
gotta
end
die.
to end.
Somebody I gotta die. Niggas bleeding. And I got a story to tell. That's just disc 1.
Now, there are some storytelling verses. Like we said, the Excuse Me Miss verse is somewhat storytelling. I would say
Yeah.
that you could say that Song Cry is somewhat storytelling.
The
I
Evils. The
think
second
that,
verse to the
yeah,
Evils.
exactly. Like he has verse moments where he'll do a story, but if we're talking about from end to end, he doesn't have like a whole lot of, that evidence, when it comes to storytelling. And that's not a knock, it's just an observation. Andre Shashir with the super chat. Appreciate the love, Andre. He says, not sure about now, but Jay wrote, I have a Blaze magazine interview in '97, and he said that when lyrics came to mind, he'd just jot them down on anything that he could find and memorize them and be ready to
Let's
record.
let's get this straight. He wrote Reasonable Doubt, or a large portions of it.
I've always heard him say that he wrote Can I Live and didn't write the rest of it. I've heard him say Can I Live the last song
I
he
remember
wrote.
the Blaze magazine article that he's talking about,
Okay.
and he did bring up. He was like, and to fairness to Jay, he did also bring up. He was like, I had to stop writing the rhymes down because I was having so many thoughts and writing them down on so many pieces of paper, and I would be out in
I
the
remember
streets so late that I had to start teaching myself to memorize the line. So I would start saying one line after another. Like, so there was a process of it, but Reasonable Doubt, he did write some of it, but he memorized a lot of it too. And we don't really know, Mike. We'd have to be in the room. Somebody like Dame Dash could answer that question.
Right. Engineers or whatever, whoever engineered Reasonable Doubt.
I don't even know if the engineers, Mike, he was out in the street a lot of the time. So by the time he's walking back in, the sheets of paper are gone because he's memorizing the sheets of paper while he's out in the street. That's what I'm saying. It's like, no. It had to be somebody who was like literally like outside in the streets with him.
Right.
Right.
Raising Yoda with the super chat says, I'm from Memphis. Nas has never come here. If I had the time, I would love to see Rare perform my favorite Nas song. That's what's up.
Okay.
I love to hear newer records being somebody's favorite record.
We got some family from the Mound, fam. That's what's up. Shout out to Memphis.
Shout out to Memphis for real. Mr. J. Davis with the super chat says, my girl has never listened to Nas until she got with me. She was strictly a J fan. Now she listens to all the KDs every day. They're all classic. Seeing him on Friday. Shout out to Mr. J. Davis. The love is real in here. 9 Plus with the super chat says, if Nas brings out the firm for Full Circle at Madison Square Garden, I'm going to lose it.
First of all, Nas brings the firm out. Don't nobody want to hear no Full Circle, Mike. I want to hear Phone Tap. Don't nobody care about. I wish he would do Full Circle and not do Phone Tap. Mike, you're gonna hear me on the footage and be like, man, I don't believe this nigga bought these niggas out here and bought me all the way to New York, and I'm not hearing no Phone Tap. That's all you're gonna hear in the audio in the background. Be like, this is not Phone Tap.
Well, if AZ comes
Very
out,
problematic.
If AZ comes out, I'm sure there's a host of songs that we want to be done.
Can we get a little? How about this? You want to know what I really like as a fan? A little Nas AZ montage wouldn't be bad, but like Mike, and A's got an album coming out, but Nas always supports these dudes' albums. Like he retweets Megas and AZ shit and like all that. But like a little Life's a Bitch, The Flyest, Phone Tap, little montage. No, I'm all for that. Yeah, I'm all for that.
Ray Realms with the super chat says, Jermaine Dupri recently said back in the day there was no violence in Atlanta parties. Is this true? I'll be in section 105 on Saturday. Will you brothers be? Where will you brothers be? No, that's not true. With the violence.
I'm close to you. How about this, fam? I can't tell you what section I'm in yet, but I'm close to you.
It's interesting that Jermaine said that because I was just listening to Dag. It was Gip again. Gip was talking about the party. There was Jermaine Dupri's party when Suge's man got hit, coming into that party, and Puff was there, and that kind of started a lot of the friction. There was a lot of violence back in the day. I think when you get older, think people like to make it seem like their era wasn't as bad as the current era, but it's all the same.
I mean, Mike, I was actually. You remember like the night the shooting that happened that actually made Buckhead get shot down?
I remember that. I was there.
Okay,
I was right in.
I
Well,
was
it was
about
one of the
200,
shootings.
300 feet from the shooting when it happened. So
Yeah, I was
when
right there
people,
too. I think
you were there. That you were out there
you
that
talking
night
about
too.
right out in front of Johnny Rockets, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I
My,
seen that. They squared up like
Mike,
they were about to fight, and dude pulled out, shot him, and ran off, and we all ran off. I remember that.
Mike, me and me and my ex-wife at the time, you know Mika. Me and Mika was in the car, 2 cars up from when dude got pulled out the whip. We had just got our car from Johnny Rockets.
Yeah, I
Because we
remember
used
that.
to park, you know the little cut you used to park at back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was right there when all that happened. Some people acting like it didn't go down. Like, no. We was already fleeing because something else had already popped off. And then that popped off. I was
Yeah,
right there
we
when all that
sitting
happened.
there,
Like,
we circling around like we about to see a fight in the schoolyard or whatever. Dude squared up, and the other dude just
oh my,
pulled
seeing all
out.
that
Boom.
I seen that from the rear view mirror. Like Mike, in my mind, I can still remember Mika telling me, like nigga drive. I'm like, we stuck, we can't move or go nowhere right now. She like, oh fuck.
Well, you was in the car. We was like right there, and we all took out. Didn't expect that. Godfather with the super chat says, "Yo, the other day I was reading something, and the person said, how can Jay be better than Nas, and he lost?" Somebody just said that to me. Was it you that said that, Coop? Somebody said that to me
Mike,
too.
I've been. Hello, my name is Armand Cooper. I've been saying this since 2001. It is 2023. When people are like, "Who said that?" It's like me, motherfucker. I said it in Greensboro, North Carolina. I said it in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've said it on the east side of Atlanta, the west side of Atlanta. Mike, I've said it in Italy. I've said it in France. I've said it in California, in Texas, in the Caribbean islands. I've said it with green eggs and ham, Mike. All right?
And according to KRS-One's rules, since we follow all of KRS-One's hip hop rules, if you lose in a battle, then that other MC takes precedence over. So, Rigger 49er with the super chat. What's up?
Oh, KRS-One is also speaking from the perspective of somebody who hasn't been faded in battle yet, too.
No, it's true.
So be mindful of who's speaking. It's like, yeah, well, ain't nobody beat you either.
Speaking of which, and I don't think LL's really been faded like that.
LL's undefeated as well.
Yeah, some would say Cannabis did, but he didn't. What do you think about the fact that he is bowing out of this album because I don't know. What did he say? Let me pull up the quote. Because the whole word was that he was in the studio with Q-Tip, right? So I'm thinking this is the Q-Tip album, the album that Q-Tip was supposedly produced in its entirety. So he says, LL got on Twitter and says, "Just not feeling like this album is worthy of being released. I tried." What does that even mean?
I tweeted Uncle L this morning and asked him why, because I didn't understand what the hell he's talking about, quite frankly.
I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but when you say "I tried," that makes it sound like it's on the other person. And the other person in this situation, from what I remember, was Q-Tip. Now, I was already skeptical as a super Q-Tip fan.
No, you said this, Mike.
I've said this on the show before. I was like, listen, if it
never
comes out,
it
it comes out. I'm still waiting for the last Zulu. Now,
no, you said we were never going to hear this album. I was like, did you hear LL and Q-Tip working together? You're like, I don't think we're going to see the album. You just kind of brushed it off.
I believe it when I hear it. It's like, if somebody told me there was an Outkast album coming up, I believe it when I hear it. If somebody told me that Dr. Dre and they have said this, Dr. Dre and Snoop are making an album together, I believe it when I hear it. If
really
Q-Tip is if Q-Tip's producing an album, huh?
You want to talk about some shit I don't believe? Every time I hear Snoop and Dre in the studio together, I just look at people. I'll be like,
I told people, cool, man, talk about something I've told somebody for years. I've told people since 2002 that detox is not happening. I've told people for like 20 years that the detox was never going to happen.
Very
and it
problematic.
hasn't. I hate that this LL situation went down like this, man. I was hoping to hear what they were coming up with together, but it sounds like kind of like what we talk about with Dr. Dre and Tupac. I think the way that Q-Tip works is probably so different than the way that LL works. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into this tweet, but the tweet sounds like sounds like frustration, right? Sounds like I tried, y'all. We
There's some
couldn't get it
passive
together.
aggressive behavior going on with
Yeah,
this tweet. Yes, there is. There's some passive aggressive behavior.
it's like
Like somebody fucked with L's temperament. Somebody fucking with Unc.
it's like it sounds like, again, I don't want to read too much into the tweet, but it sounds like what I'm liking, he's not liking, and what he's liking, I'm not liking. I tried,
Like
guys.
he's known for being cool. You know what I'm saying? His name is LL Cool J. See me,
Yeah.
I'm known for being cool. I'm about to go off the rails and curse somebody out. He is known for the opposite. So when you see him post something like that, it's like, oh, this cool motherfucker. Like, I'm like, I don't know about that. That sounds like some shit I would do. I don't know. I don't like that for him.
And even with Hip Hop 50, right? With the 50th year of hip hop and everything that people are doing, what a great sign of, just hip hop's growth, and to celebrate hip hop, to have a LL Cool J album produced by Q-Tip. It's a Queens thing. And it must really be coming out bad for him to come out here for an album that, respectfully, only us heads were really looking for. If it never happened, nobody was going to hound him for it. You know what I'm saying? But for him to go out his way to say that, listen, it's not going to happen, I tried, it's like, damn, it must really be frustrated over there.
Well, here's the thing about it, and it's funny that we're talking about this because this really crossed my mind today about Q-Tip. Well, him doing an album with LL would be super important for Queens specifically because for Q-Tip, he can say, well, the guy who came before me and the two guys specifically who came after me, well, I helped them kind of put them on their feet. Like Nas with One Love, and obviously the contribution to Mobb Deep's The Infamous, most notably Give Up the Goods, where fucking Prodigy spazzes out twice.
Yeah.
And so for him to do something with L, well, that would be your Queens Legends connections for the eras, because it goes for a lot of people, LL to Q-Tip, Nas and Prodigy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's isn't that 4 of your 5 from Queens?
Yeah, and then you get the 50
Well,
Cent.
Well, Q-Tip having his hands on all of it would mean something to his overall stature being comparable to a Dr. Dre, like you've said.
He is. He's kind of the East Coast Dr. Dre in that sense. I don't know if sounds like LL's just scrapping the whole, album idea.
Very
period.
problematic.
But with that being said, man.
But maybe, hold on, Mike. Is it outdated though? Is there form?
Listen, I didn't want to go there, but when I read that, I thought about what Fat Joe was saying, right? And I think that artists don't want to end up sounding like some nostalgia throwback trip. And LL's never been on that. LL's always been about evolving and continuously evolving his style and staying current. And maybe the stuff from a creative direction standpoint was just coming out in a way sonically that he thought was probably more some throwback stuff. And maybe Q-Tip, being the fan of LL that he is from a certain era, maybe that's the kind of stuff he was giving him. I don't know. But it just lets you know what Nas and Hit Boy have found and what they're doing. It's not easy to do. Because you got legends like Q-Tip and LL that couldn't pull it off once.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
And this is what I say this respectfully. What did Quincy Jones really do after Bad that was hold on, he didn't even do Bad, did he?
He did bad. He did bad. Yep.
He did Bad. Yeah. It's Teddy and them that did Dangerous.
Yeah.
So after Bad, Mike, he did the compilation album.
Back on the Block.
Back on the Block, and then he did Q's Juke Joint, because he's the one that found Tamia. You Put a Move on My Heart. I'll never forget that.
Love that record, yeah.
Love that record, too. How did those do in relationship to Bad and Thriller?
I mean, that's Michael Jackson, so it's not really a fair comparison. But Back on the Block did win some awards, I believe. So I think it did pretty well. Yeah.
Right? No. It's Quincy. I love Secret Garden. It's one of those best collab R&B records ever that you'd love to hear. It got Barry White and fucking DeBarge on the record.
Right.
It's like, oh, this nigga got vision. You got
Rod,
vision. You got
I think
DeBarge and
Rod
Barry White on the
Temperton.
record together.
I think Rod Temperton did that too. You could hear some similarities between that and "Lady in My Life." Yeah.
No, and PYT, Mike. Yeah, that's PYT. Right, slow down. But I say that to say that it's like, well, producers a lot like artists. Well, they have their moments where they've had their time, where the following is just so heavy, and it's like, I think LL might have been trying to say in a nice way. It's like, I think we both may have had our time. Because I don't think it may have been a justice to the fans for us to put this product out. It's like, it's cool when somebody gets a Dilla beat that sounds old and nostalgic because Dilla not here.
You're right.
You feel me?
Yeah, the expectations are different. You're expecting to hear something from a certain era.
That's part of the pull-off. Mike, that's why I'm so high on motherfucking 17 Bricks off the Purple Tape too. It's like, this is
Crazy
old?
Record. Right.
That's old? That beat is old? Nah.
Have you heard that sample? Have you heard like the original, I think that's Smokey Robinson and the Miracles? That's the way he cut that shit is
the way he
crazy.
cut that is brilliant.
Whoa.
But Mike, what I'm saying is that beat wise, it sound about 3 years ahead.
Yeah.
When this dude been gone.
Yeah, he had been gone at the time for like 3 years, I believe. 2 or 3 years.
I was about to say 4. I thought at least 3.
Because I think Dilla passed in Dilla passed in 04, 05, I believe.
That's what I'm saying, Mike.
Yeah. Rigger 49er with the
when did Common do Rewind that?
What do you shit, that was that on Donuts?
I'm not sure, but I remember when I heard Rewind that, I feel like Dilla had been gone about 5 years. You feel me?
Oh no, it wasn't on Donuts. Yeah.
At least, maybe more. So it's like when I heard 17 Bricks, I'm like, yeah, this motherfucker. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, ain't he been gone a few years?
Yeah, because you're right.
Why he making futuristic beats and he gone?
You're right. I'm thinking about 08. Only Built for Cuban Links was 09. Yeah, he had been gone.
That's
like
what I'm
4
saying.
or 5
He's
years.
been gone for about 4 or 5 years already, Mike.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Rigger 49er with the super chat says Cube was the GOAT for a while. He changed the face of hip hop forever. If it wasn't for Cube, we don't have Pac, Nas, Big, J, DMX. It was Cube that did it. I love the love for Cube. I think that era of
well, that's like saying, but Chuck D, Mike.
Yeah, of course. I think that era of 1990 or early 90s superstars does get overlooked by the impact of that 94 class. You know what I'm saying? And, well, Pac obviously isn't part of the 94 class, but 93 and 94 were breakthrough years for him. Rigger 49er with the super chat says Cube was the GOAT for a while. Okay, I think I already read that one. Let me get back to these super chats. But no, this is great conversation. CJ Kid with the super chat says if Nas is like was on Illmatic, where would it rank on the album in terms of best track? Well, I've always heard that Nas is like was supposed to be on Illmatic. But it just did he polish?
That's conjecture.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, because it just sounds like it's from a whole different era.
It's the only song on I Am that sounds Illmatic like. That's why people say that. I don't think. Do you think it's better than It Ain't Hard to Tell? Memory Lane.
Jeez.
The World Is Yours or Life's a Bitch or New York State of Mind. That's what I'm saying. It's still 6 on Illmatic for me.
Yeah, it's around there.
I'd tell you One Love is actually probably better than Nas is like 2. That third verse to One Love is fucking bananas.
It is. I think
that's what I'm saying. It's still a bottom tier record on Illmatic.
I think from a technical standpoint, it competes. But as far as the feeling goes, it's a whole different story. CJ Kid says, which face is better storytelling, Ghostface or Scarface? I'm gonna, Ghost is my guy, but I'm gonna have to give that one to Scarface. I think Scarface's storytelling is just chilling, man. It's never seen a man. I seen a man die. I mean, people can't do that. Like that's something only one person can do, and that person's name is Scarface.
No, I dig it.
It's not by a lot though, but I would
Like I
have
said,
to
I'm
give
cool.
the
I'm
nod to
cool with the
Scarface.
tie just because like I have such high regard for them. I find them both to be two of the five best storytelling MCs of all time with pretty much relative ease. I still say that. So
And you get a minute to pray, a second to die, stuff like that. These are the type of records that we're trying to pull out from this Jigger conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like,
also like this is what I mean. How about this? Meet the Parents. Remember Motherless Child off Iron Man,
right,
which like literally precedes Meet the Parents by like 8 years.
right.
Yeah.
Jay Short with a super chat says, for J fans stuck in '07, the first iPhone came out. Obama was running for president. Bob Barker was still on The Price is Right. Soldier Boy had a #1 hit. Um, hop in the DeLorean and join us in 2023. Yeah. Yeah. It was a whole different world, man. That was
Get you a flux
16 years ago.
capacitor.
That was 16 years ago and 3 presidents ago. And yeah, social media was non-existent.
You couldn't even get up on the gram and find you a prostitute in Vegas like you can now.
There was no such thing as the gram. Only Facebook existed from the social medias that we rock with now. Twitter was just emerging.
Yes.
Dane with the super chat says, Coop, will HB be Nas's DJ? Hit Boy be Nas's DJ at MSG? I don't know.
That would be dope.
I hope so. That'd be dope.
I mean, I'm assuming Hit Boy's going to be there because it's supposed to be like,
Hit Boy
King's
got it.
disease
Yeah.
show.
We got to
I
holler
would
at Hit
assume
Boy.
so. That's what I mean. Think about it. If Hit Boy is there, chances is like Benny might be there too because they're working on something right now. They might be doing some work. Be like, hey, let's take the work from LA to New York. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It could be that going on. I wouldn't be surprised if Jay in the building because it's Nas at Madison Square Garden and Jay loves stealing attention from Nas.
Uncle Fran with the super chat says,
loves doing that shit. So he's probably going to be there. Griselda probably going to be there.
Jay might have a concert across town or something.
Right. He might do like a pop-up impromptu performance like at the Apollo at like
Apple
6 o'clock.
Store
I decided to do the Apollo at 6 tonight. It's like, sure you did.
Uncle Fran with the super chat says Patreon has become Jay-Z versus everybody. Yeah, we got to be careful with that.
That's y'all that keep throwing his stuff up in there like that. I be wanting to do different stuff. That'd be y'all.
Rigger 49er with the super chat says, I agree. Big Boy is the truth. I should have Outkast. Yes. I want to get caught up on these super chats. Andrew Green with the super chat says, salutations. Enjoy Madison Square Garden show, Coop. Wish I was pulling up. I'm going to get a play-by-play from Coop when he get back, too. Dane with the super chat says, December 4th is a great Jay story. Is it? I was in my aunt in the streets who made love under the sycamore tree, which makes me a more sicker MC. It's kind of in and out storytelling. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because when we talk about storytelling, we talk about beginning, middle, end. It's like, okay, this happened, and then I'm a sicker MC, and then, and then this happened, and then a metaphor here,
Mike, so let's go back to Ghostface and Scarface and Nas. Almost all their rhymes that aren't stories, they usually weave a story in and out of the bars like that, like all the time with the regular.
All the time, right?
Stillmatic,
and we don't even count those as stories.
Like Stillmatic intro, Food from C-Towns, Mornings was hash brown, stepped over dope fiends, walking past the door, all of us poor. I learned the difference between the snitches, the real ones, and who soft, and the hungriest, murderous. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
He just started telling the story out the middle of nowhere. It's like, oh, okay. It's like we in this project hallway again. It's like, all right. Like, they do that all the time. So does Face. So does Ghost.
Gambling spot. My hands on the knot.
Nazir Ben Aludara, fistful of dollars in the dice game, God.
The Ice King, God. Jay Short with the super chat says, how was American Gangster now Jay's storytelling when it was inspired by a movie based on Frank Lucas' real life? Leroy think he's slick.
That's funny.
Now, Leroy, we got to give Jay Short a point on that one. I mean, that was literally based off of a movie.
That's true. Because he said he wasn't inspired in hearing the whole Frank Lucas thing and seeing he got an early screening of the movie and it inspired him to do something for it.
Yeah.
Right.
36 Chambers with the super chat says Coop got to use his phone and live stream the show. A2HH from the Garden. All kind of copyright infringement stuff going on that live stream.
Right, y'all gonna have me getting carried out probably by the plug. They're gonna be like, I see Coop over there. Go ahead and go get his ass. We told him not to do this shit beforehand.
Andrew Green with the super chat says, I think you're getting your hopes up with the performing the classic records. I think the show is going to be dedicated to the KD run. He did classics on the Woo tour. He did. That is true.
I mean, he's been doing classics his whole career because he's been making classics his whole career. So it's like, it's Madison Square Garden. I find it very hard to believe that there's not going to be, Mike, do you really think that this whole show is about to go down? It's his first time in Madison Square Garden. Listen to what I'm saying. And you think that Made You Look or If I Rule the World's not going to play? I don't believe that.
You think Lauryn Hill's going to be there?
You want. And Mike, I haven't even been sharing things that I've been hearing about like possible set list choices and like all that. Because it's like, I ain't even trying to hear that. This Madison Square Garden, he's never performed. You telling me Made You Look's not getting played or If I Rule the World's not getting played?
You think, you're confirming?
They must think that I'm engaging in some uncontrolled substances because I don't buy that. What are you trying to say? So
you're confirming that Lauren's going to be there?
No, I'm not. I'm just, I haven't heard any Lauren talk, but what I'm telling you is if you're telling me that this man has never done the Garden and that now he's doing the Garden and that he's only going to perform songs that have been made in the last 5 years with this illustrious 30-year career.
Well,
he might be like, look, if you all believe that, then y'all need to put him on Jay's level as a hustler because I'm not buying that, just like I'm not buying most of the shit that Jay is selling. You are not about to hustle me and tell me that you were pulling up to the Garden and you're not doing Made You Look or If I Rule the World or some of those songs like that. That's just my personal aesthetic and thought about it because I can't see how you would step into the Garden and not do a couple of those records.
Well, I hope Lauren's there because her verse on Nobody is epic.
Mike,
they need to tell Lauren that the show is at 6 o'clock, though.
It ain't hard to tell, Mike.
Yeah.
He's not going to do It Ain't Hard to Tell or at least a verse. Now, because of Pete Rock's nefarious behavior, The World Is Yours is probably not going to get played. But, Mike, It Ain't Hard to Tell ain't going to get played? You know what I'm saying?
Well, we'll see. LP with the super chat says, Jay fans are funny. They say Nas fans always bring up Jay, but if they don't, they hating. LOL. Anything less than Jay is the GOAT is hate to them. Always quick to defend, even when there's nothing to defend. Yeah, I mean, we said he's top 3. That's not good enough. I say he's number 2.
Objectively, he's in second place. What more do you want from me? I have said objectively, Mike. Like, how about this?
We've also said the reason why he's in second. At least I've said this. The guy just got on a 4-album run of nothing but quality in 2.5 years. And Jay hasn't made 4 albums stretching all the way back to 2007. I mean, I guess in their minds, it was impossible for this tight race to go the other way. I don't know.
Let me try to reframe this. Do you remember when we pulled up when LeBron broke the scoring record? And I was like, hey, Mike, in the history of basketball, there's been 3,000 or 4,000 people that have played. Like NBA basketball, Mike, in the history of NBA basketball, Mike, there's been about 3,000 or 4,000 people that have played this sport, and he's number 2. That's an all-time great pull-off. Now, Mike, you know this. How many niggas have rapped and put out an album, and this guy's number 2? That's a tougher pull than what LeBron just did. That's a tougher pull. What Jay is doing by us saying that he's number 2 is literally tougher than LeBron being number 2 because of the influx of competition that he has had to deal with. And people think we are being disrespectful to this man. He has literally beat millions of people out.
And Coop, on top of that, the guy that we have ahead of him came in before him and is super active after him.
And it made a better album. His best album's better than your best album.
It is what it is, man.
And he beat you. Hold on, Mike. He was here before you. His best album's better than your best album. And he beat you head to head. And he's been active after you with better material.
I mean, what else is there?
Rationale do we have to put this man at number 1?
Oh, and let's not get to the storyteller. I mean, come on, man.
Stop that, Mike. Stop that. Mike, you want to get to The Voice?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. What do you want? Like that's why I want to do the metric, because it's like, no. If you really put them on the metric that we have, it's like, well, where's Jay beating Nas outside of impact and delivery?
I think he's a
Because he's
better
not.
live performer, I would say, but I could be
Can you
wrong.
say that at this point? When the last time Jay
I
took a
can't.
stage by himself without Kanye or without Beyonce?
It's true. It's
You,
true.
you talking about '03 Jay? We talking about '03
You're right.
Jay.
I need to reset my mind.
You need to reset your mind and start thinking about it. Like, when the last time this man stepped out on stage and performed without Beyonce or Kanye? Real shit.
True. Non Plus with the super chat says Nas on the Late Show with Steve Colbert tonight. Yep, I heard about that. Tune in. I'll be tuning in. Let's see. We got some more super chats, and I want to get to this bogus shit that was going on Apple Music too. Miss
We got
L-
to get to that. I want to put Slick Rick in before we go too.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. Miss
You know how
LB
I
with the
feel
super
about
chat
Slick.
says LL posted a video and said that the reason that he ain't putting out the album is because it's too damn good. He was pranking us. Album coming soon, he said. Oh, okay. Good. Well, that's good news.
That's better.
And you know what?
Maybe he needed to feel the love, Mike, because I damn sure pulled up when I see it. It's like, oh, you not? No. I want to know. I wanted to know.
Well, I guess he knows that social media runs on negativity and people would post something negative. So, that
He's
worked.
smart,
Well
man.
played, LL. But
It
I
definitely
still
worked for
say
me, Mike.
this. I
I woke up feeling triggered this morning when I seen that. I was like, oh, that's what you doing, nigga?
I still feel the way that I feel, though. I will believe it when I hear it if Q-Tip produced this whole thing. If it comes out, it's probably going to be great. But that's if it comes out. Jay Short says, LL did an entire album with the Neptunes and Timbaland, but couldn't work with Q-Tip. And remember that he tried 50 too and couldn't work with him. LL wants Pops. Talking about Rick Rubin. What were you about to say, Coop?
No. I'm going to keep that thought. First of all, it's Uncle L, okay? You get to ask for whatever you get to ask for.
Our man with the super chat says LL might be trolling. He did a video today saying that the album with Q-Tip is still on. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys updated us on it because I ain't see that video yet. I got to catch up with that. I was looking at the news for the fact that Nipsey's killer got 60 years. Rigger 49er with the super chat says Cube was a great storyteller. People forget. Oh yeah, Cube is one of the great storytellers.
Yeah.
Cube
He's
got more
10.
compelling stories than Jay too.
Yeah, he's top 10. Yeah, I'm about to say, how about this? It's like he's I don't have him. How about this? After Big and Slick Rick and Ghostface and Scarface and Nas, I would go to Cube next. Wouldn't you?
You're not going Pac?
No.
I think Pac's a great storyteller too, but yeah, I'm with
No,
Cube.
I mean, I'm going Cube first because the way Cube laces his stories is more detailed and actually story formatted than Pac's stories.
Yeah,
Like,
and
here's how
Cube
Pac
took his
now,
stories
we
to the
was
movie.
once two niggas of the same kind, quick to holler at a hoochie with the same line. Like, Pac's way of telling the story is a little different.
Yeah.
Cube's more kind of like detailed and more like precision, precise with it. I prefer Cube storytelling to Pac.
Once Upon a Time in the Projects.
Once upon a time in the projects.
36 Chambers with the super chat says LL said that on his Insta a few hours ago that this is the best album yet and praised Q-Tip on the genius production. Track list and release date coming soon. Said it's too good. Thoughts? You know what? Listen, I guess I'm gonna have to believe it. It sounds like it's done.
Here's what I'll tell you, Mike. Q-Tip, while Tribe was still at their peak and in their prime, gave Nas One Love and gave Mobb Deep Give Up the Goods and Drink Away the Pain. He doesn't mind giving away flames to his Queen's brethren.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Q-Tip.
Give him the flame. He gonna give him some flame. You know, like some producers that are of his caliber are funny, Mike. He'd be like, no. Like Havoc has even said that. He's like, niggas be asking me for a Quiet Storm or a Shook Ones. He's like, I'm not giving you that. P's getting that. Q-Tip don't really think that way, I don't think.
I think the thing with Q-Tip, though, is the fact that he looked at Tribe as a unit and, he was kind of the front man of Tribe. He was making beats for them as a collective. But I feel like with Havoc, he felt like he was making beats for Prodigy to a degree. You know what I mean?
He was.
Yeah.
Mike, give up the goods, Mike.
Yeah. He want to see what his man's going to do on it. Even though I do feel like that change from People's Instinctive to the low end theory, I think that's Q-Tip saying, yo, that stuff that's on that first album, that shit I like. Let me do something that the whole group likes.
And
And
that's when you
that's the
become a
low
great
end theory.
producer, Mike.
Yeah.
That's when you become a great
And that's
producer.
when they
You do
became
the
a
shit
great
that other
group.
people like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the low end theory is much better than People's Instinctive for it now, isn't it?
It is, even though People's Instinctive is a personal favorite of mine. That's the first Source album to get 5 mics. But yeah, the Low End Theory is the better album. You know, somebody was trying to correct us in the comment section about the Source and their 5 mics and their New York bias. Somebody said that the Source was out of Boston or something. Like, listen, the Source was
No, Dave
founded.
Mays is from Boston.
Yeah, it's like Source was founded on the campus of Harvard University, but their offices were in 1990 when they actually started the actual magazine or launched the magazine. Offices have always been in New York City. And the other part was, you know, they said that Ice Cube's America's Most got 5 mics because I think we said all the 5 mic albums came out of New York. And I'm like, well, Ice Cube's America's Most Wanted was made in New York and produced by New York producers. It is what it is. So yeah,
And
there
Mike,
was a level.
I bought up America's Most when I was making a rebuttal to you, and you reminded me. It's like, no, Cube came to New York and Bomb Squad, and I was like, oh yeah.
And you know, the first time that any album that had no association with New York City got 5 mics was when Outkast got 5 mics for Akumanai. And I think that was more circumstantial. I think they were forced to kind of give Akumanai 5 mics because
it's so
it came
far
out
superior to Volume 2 that they
It
were
is.
giving 4.5 mics.
they couldn't give Volume 2 4 mics because this is what happened. Reasonable Doubt, got 4, right? So they slept on Reasonable Doubt. And then Volume 1, didn't they give Volume 1 4?
They did.
Okay. So Volume 2, this was supposed to be the elevation. They couldn't give Volume 2
It's
4 mics. They couldn't say that this guy is the next, this, that, and the third, and the king of New York, and give him 3 straight 4 mic albums. So they had to give him 4.5. Now here you
They
go
did
with
what the Wu-Tang
Akumanai
had to do
right
to him.
here, where it's clearly the superior album of the two, and you already got Big Boy, you know, not Andre, but Big Boy calling out the Source magazine for giving Southern Playalistic 4.5, and you got this group coming off of ATLians making a superior album to that. They couldn't put both of these albums in the same issue and give Volume 2 4.5 and give Akumanai 4.5. They were forced by circumstance to give Akumanai 5. I truly believe if Akumanai didn't come out the same day that Volume 2 came out, it would have got 4.5.
Skew It on the Barbie has a lot to do with that
I
too. A
think
lot
so.
of people don't know. Skew It on the Barbie was actually the first real song to drop off of Aquemini, and having a joint with Raekwon, and the joint being as quality that it was.
And Big Boy
with the
called him out in that verse,
Well,
too.
here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I mean about how it gets pieced together. Well, because it's 98, Mike. It's the summer of 98, to be specific. I heard Skew It on the Barbie in like June of 98.
I heard that song first. I don't remember when I heard it, but I remember I heard it first.
I was with my man Gary Alston. We used to work at Carowinds that summer, which is like the Six Flags for North Carolina and South Carolina. And we hopped in his car. It was the late night mix on the Big DM, I think, which was South Carolina's like main radio station. And it came on, and we were like, "What in the fuck is this?" But Mike, Raekwon was on there. New York radio play, and Big Boy knew it, and that's why he said what he said, because he knew because Ray was on the joint, then New York was going to play it, and that's why he said, I got to hit the source. I need my other half of Mike. Because that Southern Playalistic Cadillac music was a classic, right?
Yeah.
That's intentional.
That's intentional.
So Big Boy kind of forced their hand.
He forced their hand.
That's what I'm talking about, him being so important to the legacy
It's so
of the
crazy,
South and
man.
the culture. Andre wasn't about to say that on record.
And you know what? It's funny, Coop, because if Andre would have said that at that time on that 5 mic album, they never would have let us forget it.
They'd be saying, be like, hey, remember when he said?
Right.
Be like, no.
No.
So Big Boy's the one, once again, Mike, Big Boy is the one that applied pressure to that situation
He did.
first.
Yeah, he did.
He realized what moment he was in, who he was in the booth with, and he immediately applied pressure.
I think that the release dates were strategic too to get that 5.
I think that's L.A. Reid.
Yeah, You know what I mean? Because you're not gonna sit both of these albums in the same issue and give Volume 2 4.5 mics and give Aquemini 4.5 mics.
They knew what they had, Mike.
Rosa Parks is smashing Hard Knock Life. It's not even comparable. Like
they knew what they had, Mike. They knew that they had, they knew that when they made that album, they're like, this might be the finest piece of work that's ever come out of this region.
Yeah. And they say, you know
what are these East Coast people going to say? So I believe everything was strategic, specifically by Big Boy and L.A. Reid in terms of like the setup. Because and this is what I mean about like being a glue guy. Did Dre show up and rap and show his ass? Like, yeah. And then, because Big Boy did that on Aquemini too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Except for he's got the solo record. Except for he has the most notable and most important bar on that album, which is the one we just went over.
You're right.
You understand what I'm saying?
And it's funny.
Who really holding shit down for the A, Mike? Who really holding shit down for the A?
No, for real. And you know what? Big Boy never complained about Southern Playalistic not getting 5 mics on ATLians. This was strategic.
Mike, you see how Scottie Pippen be talking about Michael Jordan? You ever hear Big Boy talk this way?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Think about the position he's been put into and how he's behaved. That's what I'm saying. It's like people treat him like he's Scottie Pippen. Oh, he don't act like Scottie, though.
Big Boy's the king of Atlanta, in my opinion. Straight up. Shaka Ross with the super chat says, Q-Tip produced the whole last Tribe album. He did. He's far from past.
What year was that? That was 2017?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Isn't that when Damn came out?
Something like that. Yeah.
No, that's a different era.
It is kind of a different era. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Ghost is my all-time favorite MC, but Scarface's Can't Be Life verse is one of the greatest ever from anyone. Ghost don't have one of those. Not even Impossible?
Impossible. Yes, okay. He does. He has Impossible. So
I think Impossible is comparable.
Janie gets shot. Yeah.
Let's see where we at with the super chat, then we'll get to Slick Rick, then we'll get to the Pac talk, and we'll get up out of here.
Mighty Ghostface Killer.
People showing all kind of love today. I'm loving it. I'm loving the conversation. Rigger 49er with the super chat says, best storytellers, number 1, Pac, number 2, Cube, number 3, Scarface, number 4, Nas, number 5, Ghost. Much love to y'all. This is becoming one of my favorite podcasts. Appreciate the love. What we got to do to get that number 1 spot, man? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep going with the machine. Let's see. Oh, okay, got another one here. Mr. J Davis with the super chat says Jay performed solo at both Magna Carta Holy Grail and 444 shows in NY. I attended both. Jay is a great performer. He captures people with his voice and storytelling in between songs, just like J. Cole. I think Jay is a great performer. And I think that's one of those things that he developed over time, too. I think that initially he wasn't as dynamic of a performer as he became. And I think that he really honed in on his strengths. He's not going to beat you with energy, but he can beat you with, again, we talk about his conversation. Conversational Jay is that's his number 1 attribute. And when he can hone into that,
people understand where he comes from. Right.
Yeah. Andrew Green with the super chat says, Nas is the GOAT, but we got to keep it a buck. Both Jay B-side concerts performances were legendary. No Kanye or Beyonce involved in those. I will give you that. The B-side stuff's incredible. When was the B-side joint?
What year was that?
That was a minute ago, I feel like.
Thank you. Like you see how quick. This is what I mean about his fan base. Now his fan base is loyal and they're astute because they'll bring up stuff like that and it's like, no, fam, what? They'll
act like it happened last year or something.
Isn't that like when Good Kid, Mad City came out? Isn't that like a decade ago?
We got to look this up. I don't want to.
B-side concert. It's like nigga,
look it up real quick.
You mean the Beehive concert? Like
DJ Bruce Almighty said.
Concert in a while, nigga.
DJ Bruce Almighty said Scarface the Diary got 5 mics. No, it didn't. They gave the fixed 5 mics. They gave the fixed 5 mics. They may have went back and re-rated it like they went back and re-rated 2001 The Chronic and Doggy Style. They initially gave Doggy Style 4 mics. I'm counting off their first rating. I don't like when they go back and change the ratings. I think that's corny.
Okay. See, Mike, this is what I'm saying. It wasn't a B-side concert. It was a 444 concert that turned into a B-side concert because he probably realized I can't perform this 444 shit. That was in 2017. I'm not joking.
No,
I'm looking at the information right
I'm
now.
laughing because it proves the point about that album, man.
Yes,
I remember when American
Mike.
Gangster came out, he did a whole VH1 storytelling doing that album from beginning to end because that album was hot. You know what I'm saying?
Now, he did another performance that you could only see, I think, on Tidal,
That's the one I'm thinking
and that
about.
was, I think, what year was that? I think this was 2019, maybe.
Was that
Hold
19?
on,
I'm thinking about the
let's
one
see.
where John Mayer came out there and played
16. Hold on.
16. Okay, that sounds about right.
Okay, so that's when Damn came out. But Mike, this is what I'm saying is it's like I want you to listen to the track listing. The intro to the Dynasty, the Young Black and Gifted freestyle, Streets is Watching, Friend or Foe 98, Where I'm From, Say Hello, Politics as Usual, Guess Who's
Hey.
Back verse from The Fix off Scarface, Show You How, Jigga My Nigga, Hovey Baby, 22 Twos, You Don't Know,
I love
So
all these
Ghetto,
records.
The Evils, This Can't Be Life, Party Life, Success, Ignorant Shit, Takeover, You, Me, Him, Her, What We Do, Click, Exhibit C, I guess he bought J Electronica out. Go Crazy, Who Dat, I guess he bought Jeezy out. Can I Live, In My Lifetime remix, Feeling It, Imaginary Players, It's Like That, Never Change, Blueprint, Allure, PSA. Mike, how many of those songs came out after 2006 that I just named?
I didn't know you were going to go there. I love all those records, though.
I love all those records too, Mike. When they come out,
Yeah, those are a little
you see how
deeper in the
people get to
catalog.
put him on some sort of pedestal and be like, oh, he did a B-sides concert. You mean a B-side concert of the shit that he was doing after Nas faded him that's not as good as Nas's catalog?
Jay Short with the
What are
super
we-
chat says, will this Q-Tip album impact the GOAT conversation? If it's great. I like LL in his bag like Mr. Smith, but he don't do enough for me. I guess depending on what we're about to hear. You know what I'm saying? Like, impacting the GOAT conversation. Where do we have LL right now mostly? He's top 10, right? Obviously.
10, 9 or 10. He at 9 or 10 right now in my humble estimation.
I think he can continue to come down. You know, longevity is in his favor.
I think another album would do him some great justice, possibly over somebody like an Ice Cube or a Scarface right now, who I have slightly ahead of him.
Okay.
Right.
I think that's
a dope
fair.
ass album for him because I can be like, well, Scarface ain't did nothing since Deeply Rooted, which is like 2015. That's like To Pimp a Butterfly time. I don't remember the last time Ice Cube did something great. So you get what I'm saying? It's like,
And the fact that LL was before everybody.
He can slide up to like 7 with a great album because he's L. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh no. This is a consistent updating. We have certain formulas.
Hip hop's
What we
first
do is
superstar at that. You know?
update our formulas with the times. The rhyme style is elevated. The style of beats is elevated. Right.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, respectfully, the Evils, You Must Love Me, Coming of Age, 1
You
and
Must Love
2,
Me.
Friend or Foe, A Week Ago, Mama Loves Me, Lost Ones, Pray, Fallen, Soon You'll Understand, Moment of Clarity, verse 1. Okay. I think Jigga's a dope storyteller. I think Lost Ones is probably more of an underrated, story from that era. And it was a single, too. I got to give him credit for having Lost Ones as a single. Usually records like that aren't singles for Jay. DJ Bruce Almighty with the super chat says, I'm sorry, the fix, you're right. It was mixed up, my bad. Talking about Scarface. Ricker 49er with a super chat says, E40 is a slept-on storyteller. Check the catalog. Could believe it. You know what? I need to get more familiar with E40's whole catalog. Like, he has so much music. He was making a bunch of music before people
I got
were
caught
making
up on his catalog when I moved out to Cali, but since I have left Cali, haven't been as familiar since, so I could do some catching up as well. But he was heavy out there. I moved out there around the time that You and That came out with T-Pain and Candy and all that. And Yay Area, Kibi, the rap, like all that was out there when I was out there. So 40 was getting like a ton of love. I was like, 40 is the man out here.
Uncle Fran with the super chat says, Coop, he sold out Barclays twice with 444. I was there. I have evidence. I couldn't be at the B-side too. The cheapest ticket was $1,000.
Hold on, he sold out Barclays twice with 444. So he stuck people up with no gun twice. He robbed people with no gun twice, Mike. That is all I heard. It's like, oh, this nigga is a real hustler. He just robbed a whole audience of people twice with no real product.
Rigger 49er says E40 been dropping since '88 and still doing it. It's true.
He said he sold y'all. He sold y'all on the ticket price. He said, I got that hydro. I got that Northern Lights. And what he gave y'all was sticks and stems and seeds.
DeCarlo with the super chat says, still waiting on that Rakim versus Tupac also. Y'all should do a Snoop versus LL.
I don't want to do that to L respectively.
Woo-hoo. You know what? I could take on L. It's tough, man. That nigga Snoop catalog is crazy, man.
I wouldn't. Out of respect for LL, I wouldn't do that if I was you.
Okay, well, let's go to Slick Rick.
Telling you the truth.
Let's go to Slick Rick.
Because when you play I Need Love, I'm playing Bitches Ain't Shit.
That's it. I'm not playing that record.
And you're going to lose.
Yeah, I'm not playing that record. I'm going to have to play I Need a Beat and stuff like that.
You keep doing that if you want to. I'm going to play the Shiznick. You're going to lose that too. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to do it with Snoop.
Snoop's catalog's crazy, man.
Hold on. What LL got for when I play Murder Was the Case, Mike? Or What's My Name? What you going to play?
For Murder Was the Case, I could go I Shot Ya. I would lose. But I could go I Shot Ya.
Mike, you ain't going to get no votes like that. Ain't nobody about to do that. You ain't get no votes that way.
Man, I talk about
Mike,
this.
You can play the remix. Mike, I'll let you play the I Shot Ya remix versus Murder Was the Case. You still about to lose.
Well, yeah, that's the one I was going to play, of course. I mean, listen, man. I talk about this.
Prodigy verse.
I talk about this all the time on the show, man. When Snoop and DMX did their verses, and DMX played Slippin', which is one of his best songs. And this nigga Snoop came with Murder Was the Case. The sonic differences were, I mean, like, it's another level. As I think Exhibit said it best. Never knew about the next level until Dre did it. There is a different level when them Dre tracks come in. I told you before that verses even happened. I said, Dr.Re tracks come different through them speakers, man.
I was with you, Mike. I was like, man, DMX in trouble. I never thought I'd say that before. It's like, no, he in trouble.
Anybody's in trouble in there with Snoop, man.
I told you I wouldn't. Mike, you were like, that Dre shit hit different. I told you, I was like, no, I wouldn't even do that.
Snoop would have beat anybody that night. That's real. Anybody. Name them.
I mean, Mike, do you understand what he did to Slippin'?
That's crazy, man.
He made Slippin' sound like a regular record.
He did. Yeah.
It's like, oh, this sounds like, I'm sorry, I didn't know this record was regular.
All this Busta Rhymes talk, really? Get Busta Rhymes in the ring with Snoop. All this Busta Rhymes talk and don't nobody want it with Busta Rhymes, like, get him in the ring with Snoop. You heard that Jermaine and Puff are supposed to be doing that versus, right?
Oh, is that happening?
They said they're doing, well, allegedly, it's going to be at State Farm. And they said, well, Jermaine said it's going to be like the Super Bowl. We'll see.
When? I'll be there.
I don't know. I thought Versus was done.
First of all, somebody catching the body. It's not JD. Catching the whole body.
Well, like Big Gibb said.
You going to play all of Biggie's records?
Big Gibb said Puffy ain't had a hit.
All of Biggie's records, this nigga going to lose.
Big Gibb said Puffy ain't had a hit since 2002, but I Need a Girl.
If he's not playing all of Biggie's records, he's going to lose. Nigga Jermaine to produce for Mariah Carey and Janet Jackson.
Well, we have to. All right. Are we going to play the records?
Going to produce for Mariah Carey.
Are we going to play the records that a person made, or the records that somebody paid another person to make? Maybe he needs to go head up with DJ Khaled or something.
Hasn't he done records for Nas and Jay and Slick Rick too?
Yeah, he's done that. One of my favorite JD records
Chris
is
Cross,
Slick Rick.
the Brat.
Yeah.
You getting what I'm saying? Like, what can he do?
Before we get to the Slick Rick thing, by the way, what did you think about what Gibb had to say about DJ Khaled not doing anything?
He sounded like you, Mike. I think you've been watching the show. To be honest with you, the whole riff, I was like, he's riffing like me, but he's talking logically like Mike. I think Gibb's been watching the show. Shout out to Gibb.
Shout out to Gibb. I mean, Yeah, we're confused, Khaled. Maybe listen.
Sounds like you, Mike.
Give us
Sounds like this
some.
nigga been watching the show.
I would like for Khaled to give us some clarification. Is he producing the songs, or is he writing the songs, or I mean, we know he's not performing the songs. Like,
I know Jermaine
what's the
Dupri does all
role?
that, Mike. I know Jermaine
Yeah,
Dupri
he
does
does
all
all
those
that.
things. He
Yeah,
produces the song. He lets song. We belong together, Mike.
yeah,
What
yeah.
Puff got for We Belong Together?
Yeah, that's a. I mean, he's gonna have to go real
What
low.
female MC? When he played the Brat Give It To You, what female MC Puff got for that? When he played Give It To
We're
You?
gonna have to play a bunch of big records. But again,
Like I
what
said,
big?
unless he plays
What
all of
Biggie?
Biggie's
Hold
records,
on,
he
hold on,
doesn't
hold
catch
on,
a L.
hold on. Let's stop with that. What Biggie records did Puff produce?
I don't know, because Easy Mo B ain't here to be the DJ either.
Exactly. Because we're not gonna act like
Niggas
Easy
in all
Mo.
type of trouble.
And see, this is the thing, man. In this verses, and then we have like platforms like this one, we're gonna go check the credits. Cause you remember when RZA and Premier did their verses, and RZA went out there and played Brooklyn Zoo, and everybody called him out because Mathematics made that beat or whatever. What you think we gonna do when Puff go out there and start playing records that other people's names is on?
I don't want to hear that I paid for the equipment shit either. I ain't one of them dudes. I paid for the equipment. It's like, so what, nigga?
No,
Nobody asked you all that.
man.
Did you make the beat, nigga?
No, man. You pay for the equipment, no, but you didn't create. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, but this is what I mean. So this is what I mean about an orchestrator, though. It's like, oh, this is why the glove interview is important, Mike. That whole deep cover shit. It's like, no, Dre gave us the card to go buy the Clevenger. We just called the nigga to go. I was like, no. That's a boss making a boss move. You feel what I'm saying?
but maybe that's why Puffy really wanted the Dr. Dre matchup, because nobody could call him out on not producing the stuff, because they kind of produce in the same way. You know what I mean?
No. Puff keep a glove in the room.
Yeah.
Puff got a bunch of gloves. That's what I'm saying. Dre be having one glove at a time. Puff be having gloves in the room.
Yeah. No,
like
that's real.
5 gloves in the room, and then walk in the room and be like, take those snares out. Bring those hi-hats up. Take that. We got to hit. We need such and such a single hook right here.
I'm going to say this.
We can't make hard records all the time. We got to give the ladies something. We got to do something to get on radio. That's what Puff. But as far you want to go up against Jermaine Dupri? No. You can come get this smoke. I like everybody from New York. I'm going up to New York. I like all you New Yorkers to come down and watch us wax your man down here in Philly. We're going to wax that ass real good.
This is what I'm going to be doing.
You understand this? You understand me? He's going to crush this thing. You know how many bangers Jermaine Dupri has produced?
I have no idea what Puff's going to play.
He's in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, Mike.
Yeah.
He's in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Well, all right.
So
if it happens, I have no idea what Puff's going to play, because I have no idea what he's going to claim, and we'll be right here to check the credits. I'll say that.
When he take this L, we're going to play Shake It Off by Mariah in the L. That's what we're going to play for Puff when he take this L. Shake it off, shake it
DeCarlo
off.
with the super chat says, had an old head tell me that we sleeping on E40.
True.
I think the thing, all right, let's say this, and I'm just going to be perfectly honest. I think that, with E40, he has such a distinctive style, and a style that is so closely related to his region, that I think that the rest of the nation and the rest of the hip-hop nation might not understand him in that way, or they might not get it. You know what I'm saying? I think that the artist from the Bay that really connects the most nationally would be Too Short. And that's why I was really surprised that Too Short wasn't on that list and E40 was. I thought that was different.
That's what I mean. When I realized Big Boy and Short weren't on the list, I was like, that's that player talking, that pimp talk hurting him.
That's true. You might be right. Ricker 49er with the super chat says, E40 would beat Busta Rhymes in the verses. His catalog is fire. Now, I think in that situation, people who are familiar with E40's catalog would feel that way, but I think that most people who aren't would probably feel like Busta won. In my estimation, like what does E40 play for? Put your hands where my eyes can see. Jay Short with the super chat, $20 super chat, showing love. He says, what's the difference between Cam and 40, other than Cam being from New York? 40 was in the biggest song of the last decade and has many moments, as many moments as Cam. but Cam is getting top 25 consideration, and Cam seemed as corny out west. I personally like Cam between the two. I like Cam's approach. I like his wordplay. I like his rhyme schemes. Both of them do some rhyme schemes that I had never heard before until they did it. But me personally, I lean more towards Cam, but I could see how somebody could feel that way.
I like that comparison.
Yeah, I do too. I've never heard that
Mike,
comparison.
you want to know what I'd like to do? I'd just like to run down some of Jermaine Dupri's bigger hits.
Go for it.
Jump by Chris Cross. You know where that landed on the charts, Mike? Number 1.
That was a big song.
Just Kicking It by Escape, Mike. Number 2, Mike. I'm not talking R&B charts. I'm talking overall.
Wow.
Just Kicking It was number 2 on the charts. It'd been number 1 on the R&B charts. I'm talking overall, it was number 2.
Wow.
You'd like me to keep going. Mike, Understanding, number 1 on the R&B charts, number 8. Mike, so we talking 3 top 10 singles off Criss Cross and Escape. Not R&B, Billboard 100. Jump, number 1. Understanding, number 2. Understanding, number 8. Just Kicking It, number 2. Want me to keep going? Mike, Funkdafied by the Brat, number 6 overall on the charts. Overall. Not hip-hop and R&B. It was number 1 on the rap charts overall. Mike. Tonight's the Night by Criss Cross, number 12.
Love that record.
Overall on charts. Love that record. It's one of his best beats.
I think some of his best beats are on that album.
Mike, it is. Can I introduce you to Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey, maybe?
That's a big record.
Do you want, Mike, it's not a question of if it was number 1. It's a question of how long when you're talking about Mariah. Mike, do you remember maybe You Make Me Wanna by Usher? You know, number 2 overall on the charts, Mike. Number 1 on the R&B charts. Which he followed it up with Nice and Slow, which, by the way, went number 1 on the Billboard chart.
I didn't realize Jermaine Dupri did Nice and Slow. I didn't know that.
He did My Way. Jermaine Dupri produced My Way, Mike.
I know he did.
That's Usher's best moment. That's still Usher's best album to me. Like, My Way's still better than Confessions to me because it's more concise and it has the bigger records. You want some proof? The first single went number 1 on the R&B charts and went number 2 on the all. The second single went number 1 on both. My Way, number 2 again. So the first 3 singles went 2, 1, and 2 on the Billboard.
Coop went out for a second. I'm sure he'll be right back. Mad Max to the super chat says, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. You went out for a second.
Hold on, Mike. We're not done. The First Night by Monica, number 1 on the Billboard charts.
I was thinking about
Mike,
that song.
We talking not R&B charts, but on the Billboard 100 charts, Mike. We got the 1998, right? He got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 top 15 hits. 9 of those 10 make the top 5. 7 of those are number 1. This is by 1998, Mike. Okay? Mike, You Got It Bad by Usher. Number 1 again. That's Jermaine Dupri. I'm just going through the big stuff. We can go through Burn by Usher. Number 1. Billboard again. Confessions Part 2. Number 1. My Boo, Usher, Alicia Keys. Number 1. Let Me Hold You with Bow Wow and Omarion. Number 4. I'm not talking hip hop and R&B. I'm talking overall. Like You, Bow Wow and Sierra. Number 3. We Belong Together. Number 1.
Yeah,
Shake
one of the
It
biggest
Off.
songs.
Number
of
2. Don't Forget About Us. Number 1. Grills with Nelly. Number 1. I Think They Like Me. So Def remix. Number 15. Control Myself. LL J-Lo. Number 4. I'm just going through the hits, Mike. We ain't talking about stuff like Money Ain't a Thing or Fresh with Slick Rick or Give It to Me with the Brat. We ain't even talking about those. We just talking about the hits, Mike. Don't tell me that Puff wants some smoke with JD. No, he don't, Mike.
There's a lot of hits. There's not a lot of people who have that many number.
Mike, you tell hits. Puff and all. I'm coming up top. No, y'all come bring your ass down here. Come catch this smoke. Ain't finna be no more of that Puff versus JD talk when we done. About to smoke this nigga like a ham on Thanksgiving in Mississippi. Welcome to the South.
Mad Max of the super chat says the LL disrespect has to stop. He's on the Mount Rushmore to me. Half of these guys ain't last past the era that they came out in. LL literally is the template for all MCs. I can't refute any of those things that Mad Max said.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is like, no. All About the Benjamins ain't bigger than We Belong Together. That's what y'all don't understand. It's like that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. It's like this music we talking about.
Did he
Like
produce All About
like
the
like
Benjamins?
like
What
you
up?
trying to put Thriller and Purple Rain against like Ready to Die and Illmatic. Like Ready to Die and Illmatic ain't winning against Purple Rain and Thriller, nigga.
I
On
think
them rap
what
records,
I think
them
what
Biggie
Puff
records.
I think the strategy for Puff should be to try to pull Jermaine into the rap songs. But yeah, the
That's what I'm
R and
saying,
B
Mike. He can
songs is
still
gonna be tough.
he can still play Money Ain't a Thing, Mike. He can still play Fresh. Like he still got that. He got the Let's Get Married remix. That's what I'm saying. We didn't go through some of the stuff. Remember the Let's Get Married remix with Rev Run?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
Yeah,
strong
remember
enough to beat Puff.
Jagged Edge gotta be where the party at?
I don't think he did those records though. I think he
No, I
said
think
that.
he did. No. He did Jagged Edge's first album, Mike.
Did he? Okay, because I remember him giving Jagged Edge a lot of credit for writing their stuff, but maybe he produced it. Real 188 with the super chat says, "What's y'all opinion on Ludacris? He might be one of the most underrated MCs ever. Where would y'all rank him? I think that he's above Andre 3000, who never dropped a rap album. Ludaverse was underrated to me too. I don't think Ludacris is underrated per se. I think that the drawbacks with Luda on an all-time list would be, I guess he had massive successes, and we know what he does on a freestyle level. But the small window of time where that was, at the height, I think that, he went to movies and, really kind of put music on the back burner in that sense. And I think that the lack of array of subject matter probably hurts him too with some of his contemporaries. Because if you put him up against, let's just say, a T.I., and you look at what T.I. did feature-wise, you look at what T.I.'s subject matter has been, and just, let's just be real. Album, like when you listen album for album, T.I. just made better albums. Did Ludacris make more commercial singles and possibly better singles? Yes. But did he make better street singles? And I think that you've said it before on the show, T.I. is like the most rounded, Southern MC of all time. I mean, and I'm with that. I think that Ludacris's versatility was like with the flow, but not really anything else.
No, Mike. Jermaine Dupri did all this stuff. See, I was just naming the hits quick. No, he did Gotta Be by Jagged Edge, The Way That You Talk to Me with the Brat, the Honey So So Def remix with the Brat, My Little Secret by Escape. Hold on.
Yeah, those are classics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just went through like Mike, he did, hold on, where is it at? Where's the Run DMC on Down with the Kings? He did Can I Get a Witness? Where else are we at? He got shit everywhere. Kick Your Game and Switch off Crazy Sexy
record.
Cool.
I love that record.
Yeah.
What did he do
off
of
those records. I love Switch.
What did he do off of TLC's
Mike,
first
Can't
album?
You See remix with Keith Murray? That's Jermaine Dupri. Mike, what about Feel So Good? Who Can I Run To? Yeah, that's what I mean. Always Be My Baby and the remix. Like, he got so much stuff out the ass, it's ridiculous. Not Tonight off Lil' Kim's Hardcore is Jermaine Dupri.
Oh, I love that record.
Right. That's what I'm saying. When I mean he got so much stuff, Mike, this is just me like going through like some of the catalog. Like, I'm just going by years right now. Money Ain't a Thing, Fresh. Don't Hate on Me with Crazy Bone and the Brat.
Oh, love that record too. Somebody said that Ludacris doesn't have better commercial records than T.I. Well, that can be debated. I mean, I'm with that too. I think that does Ludacris have a better song than What You Know? Shit.
No, nobody does down here.
Does Luda have a better song than You Don't Know Me to you?
Promise by Jagged Edge.
I love Promise. Does Ludacris have a better song? Does Ludacris have a better song than What You Know?
No.
Not What You Know. You Don't Know Me.
Song that came out of Atlanta. I told you it's the best rap song.
No, I meant You Don't Know Me. You Don't Know Me. Does he have a better song than You Don't Know Me?
That's arguable.
What song would you say?
Southern Hospitality.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head, Southern Hospitality is the one that comes to mind the most.
They're saying somebody said Luda body both Jay and Nas on the track. It didn't sound like Jay and Nas was trying that hard.
Welcome to Atlanta, Mike.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That could start off.
Where the party at, Mike?
Cooper's really going in on this.
Mike, the Jumpin' remix with Bow Wow.
What makes you going like he got so much stuff everywhere? It's ridiculous when you go through this.
Now I don't want to
remix with
listen.
Jermaine Dupri and Trina.
I don't want to get Coop started on the Destiny Child jumping record. We're gonna move on.
First of all, record is dope. All right,
No, it's not.
You gotta respect that record.
But what I do want to do though, we need to dead that whole notion that people are acting like Rihanna's better than Beyonce. She's not. And like I told people, prove it. If you put them on stage, there's no way you can prove that Rihanna's better than Beyonce. You can't. Hey. And see, you know what? And like you said with the Jay thing, people act like Rihanna done put out an album yesterday. She ain't put out an album since 2016. And you want to sit here and say she's better than somebody who's been here since 97 and who just dropped an album? No.
No. She don't be going to work.
No, you know what I mean? Like, she shouldn't even be mentioned with Beyonce in this light right now. Like, come on, man. Like, how are we going to prove this? We're going to prove this vocally? We're going to prove this performance-wise?
Here's the best way I can break it down for you. I think it's a testimony to who she is, that she's in this conversation, because Beyonce's the one that's put in the work, been most consistent, is a better live performer. The songs are comparable, so I get what you're saying. So I think that's actually a nod to Rihanna that this is conversational.
I think it's a nod to the people who put her songs together, because I don't think anything else could even justify it. Yeah, she got some dope songs. She's been given some dope songs.
I think that's fair. But I would have to side with you at the end of the day. Do I prefer Rihanna? Yes. Do I have any evidence of that? No.
Can't prove it.
No, I can't prove it. I can't prove it in court. Mike, like if I walk into the courtroom and I'm like, Rihanna is better than Beyonce, and they're like, Mr. Cooper, will you please submit your evidence? It's like, no, that is just how I feel inside. They're like, you were convicted. You're going to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Take your ass to jail.
Because what I would submit as evidence would be Coachella. Well, show me what you got on stage. Oh, what's your best video? I'll show the clip of Kanye saying that Single Ladies was the greatest music video of all time. Then I'll show that and the impact that it had. Okay, well, what's your greatest music video?
We can't talk about people like a Nas, a Prince, a Stevie Wonder having the evidence that they have.
Yeah.
And then pull up on Rihanna and be like, oh, well, I don't have any evidence, but that's what it is. It's like, no, we can't do that.
Marquez Davis with the super chat says, Jermaine also produced a Big Papa remix, which to me is the better one, better than the original. I like
that beat better, Mike. It's a better beat. It is.
And he says Puff has no chance.
Gonna catch this. Gonna catch this fade. You about to catch a real fade, Mike. Like a Michael Spinks type of Leon Spinks. Hold on, which one did Mike Tyson whoop in about 90 seconds?
Michael Spinks.
Yeah, he's going to catch one of them type of fades. It's going to be like, oh, he whooped his ass early. It's like I wasn't even expecting that. It's going to be one of those.
Rigger49er with the super chat says, where do you guys have Bone ranked on a group list? Bone's one of my personal favorites. But if we have to be objective here, like Creeping on the Come Up, East 1999.
Art of War.
Art of War kind of was a bit of a drop off. And I like Art of War. But after that, it's kind of, yeah. And after the Resurrection album, it was kind of over. It's hard to really.
I think 15 to 20 is respectable for them.
I think so. 10 to 15 for Impact, But,
yeah, for Impact, but the records ain't there. Because, here's the thing. Do I like them more than I like EPMD? Yeah, can I put them ahead of EPMD?
No, that's not fair. No. Rockashot with the super chat says, did Ice-T write the hook for 99 Problems? Sure he did.
Yeah, those are Ice-T's bars.
007 with the super chat says, Rihanna's music is simply better. Play the records. But I
agree with that. But that's it though.
But see, hold up. That would be an argument for who's the better artist if Rihanna wrote those songs or produced those songs. If those songs were given to you, you just were given better songs.
That's why I bring up the Stevie Prince thing.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, well, they kind of wrote, composed, arranged, produced, performed. Told a motherfucker to step to the left and play it this way. You know what I'm saying?
And can we honestly listen to a Rihanna song and say, man, nobody else could have done that like she did? Like how we listen to Human Nature and be like, yeah, nobody else could actually pull that off like Michael did.
Love some Human Nature.
Yeah, so can we really listen to any Rihanna song and say, man, nobody else could have did that? Only her voice could have pulled that off.
Fair.
Cut the madness, people.
That's fair.
Mad Max with the super chat says, You play Bow Wow against Puff, you're losing.
Say that if you want to.
I'm gonna have to agree with
people.
Mad Max.
No, there's a whole legion of people that grew up on that shit that, Mike, in an arena setting, you think they not. How the Lil Wayne and Drake song go? She will.
Like I said, I just don't know what Puff's gonna play, man. If he play like Flavor,
you're talking like a dude, like there's not women in the audience. That's why I keep bringing up Mariah. You're not listening to me.
Wait a minute. Is he gonna play Flavor in your ear and stuff? He can't do that. That's Easy Mo B, right?
If he does, Mike, he about to get waxed with this Mariah and this Usher shit. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But he didn't produce these songs.
Play Flavor in your ear. Play Flavor in your ear, and then watch how the women react when he play "You Make Me Wanna" by Usher. Like, watch what happens. You're like, Flavor in your ear. Don't know about. Like,
but you don't have a problem with him playing Flavor in your ear because he didn't produce that record.
It don't matter if you play it or not, Mike. I don't think you understand.
It does matter. You can't play songs you didn't produce.
Well, let's say he's the executive producer of it. He has some credits.
Well, then he needs to go against like L.A. Reid or Clive Davis or something, man.
L.A. Reid be playing instruments, Mike, and producing shit.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying L.A. Reid
know how to play instruments, Mike.
I understand what you're saying. Of course he does. But I'm saying he was the executive producer for a lot of records that he wasn't in the studio to put instruments to. He's a drummer. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I'm saying it's like if you're gonna start playing records that you didn't put, hands on and you just finance, then you need to go against the executives. That's all I'm saying. I think DJ Khaled
or Mike. Huh? That's what I'm trying to say. Saying he catching his fade either way, Mike. JD can beat almost anybody off the Usher and Mariah records. What part of this are people not understanding? Do you have hold on, who produced Whitney records? Because like that's the only motherfucker you like you should be worried about, like in terms Mike, Jermaine Dupri produced Mariah Carey and Usher.
Yeah, it's a big guy.
Stop playing with
big me. Act, excuse me.
Faith Evans and Total and 112 are not about to cut it.
It's going to have to be Biggie and Mary.
It's going to have to be Mike. It's not enough, Mike. I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying. You can't play One More Chance, the remix, for so many times. He plays Big Papa. JD gonna play the Big Papa remix. It's a better beat because JD actually know how to make beats. God damn it.
Jay Short with the super chat says, "I know y'all like Mobb Deep, but I don't
remember
think
the B side, Mike. Mike, what about the B side?
I love the B side. Love that record." Jay Short says, "I know y'all like Mobb Deep, but I don't think that they're getting a Gangstar in. They're not getting Gangstar in a verses. 95." Top 10, but not enough Gangstar quintessential New York hip hop. Huh? No. I think Mobb might beat Gangstar.
Hey, don't.
I think Mobb Deep might beat Gangstar.
Hey, listen to me, Mike. I don't want to do that to Gangstar.
Yeah.
Next.
Rigger 49er with the super chat. Rigger 49er says, "I think there's a difference between duo and group." There is.
Possibly.
There is. But this is the differential we have to make. Does a duo include Gangstar, where you got a solo MC and a DJ / producer? Is Pete Rock and CL Smooth a duo? And if we're going to play that game, is Eric B. and Rakim?
Eric B. and Rakim. Right.
That's when it becomes problematic.
Eric B. and Rakim in there, it's like the rest of those duos are catching a lot of smoke, Mike.
Yeah.
Almost all of them.
Lex Diesel with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, "Mike, why did you single out Busta against Snoop's catalog? Nobody ever said he was unbeatable in the verses. They said M would have his hands full against him. Your low-key disrespect for Busta Rhymes is out of bounds, LOL." Well, no, they said nobody wants to with Busta Rhymes. Fat Joe said that. Fat Joe says a lot of stuff I know, but he said that, and people were acting like people were scared of Busta Rhymes. Now, as far as Eminem having his hands full, he would have his hands full of any fucking body. No, you know what I mean? Like, he can't. Who could he beat? I don't think Eminem could actually beat 50 Cent in a 20-song verses. He couldn't beat 50 Cent. Yeah, I'm going to put it out there like that. 50 got 11 records where he could beat Eminem if he wanted to beat him. He obviously wouldn't do it out of appreciation. But Eminem can't beat 50 Cent.
Yes, that's true. I agree with that. Mike, this is what I mean about Puff and how people need to get a grip. People talking about these Jodeci albums and the Mary album. Let's pause for a second, Mike. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. Hold on. I'm from... No. Fuck all that. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. My cousin Shonda, God rest her soul, she knew Dalvin and Devontae. I know for a fact, because I have heard Dalvin on the phone. Dalvin and Devontae did all of that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you
I
talking
thought that was
about.
common knowledge.
Dalvin's the drummer. Devontae is the beat maker and the songwriter and the composer and arranger and plays some strings. I've heard that shit live as a teenager.
I thought that was common knowledge.
Chucky Thompson produced my life.
Right. Rest in peace to Chucky Thompson. Yes, he produced my life.
So when you were saying this shit that you were saying, like, oh, no, he can play. No, he cannot. Devontae and Dalvin did those beats. My family used to live in the same neighborhood as them niggas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Puff gave them an image. Puff gave them a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Puff helped put them in front of camera. Puff helped dress them. Puff didn't have shit to do with how Forever My Lady and Diary of a Madman sound. Nothing.
Puff was more of a
this is what I'm saying.
He
when
was
I
more
say
of a Barry Gordy for them. You know what I mean?
Nothing. Go quote that and print that, Mike. You wasn't even in the half the time when them albums was being made.
He was more of a Barry Gordy for them. Like, you know, he heard the finished product.
He was A&R, Mike. He did what A&R niggas do. Pop up in the studio once or twice a week.
Which was very important. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't say you're not important.
No.
Goddamn beats,
I just
Mike.
want to clarify. I know you didn't say that. I just want to clarify.
Missy and Devontae got more credits on Diary of a Madman than Puff. What the fuck are we talking about?
I love Diary of a Madman. I think it's the best project. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mad Max to the Super Chat says.
Nothing got shit to do with that record except the promoting though.
Mad Max to the Super Chat says, I grew up on Bow Wow Coop. We not playing that kid.
Mad Max, you're so disrespectful. I'm so tired of you. You know that? You're so disrespectful.
Leroy Green with the Super Chat. Leroy says, Coop, Luda got T.I. What you know about that with what's your fantasy area codes? Roll out, stand up, move B, and pimping all over the world. You really believe that, Leroy Green?
First of all,
you know, it's fun.
Streets don't say that. Streets didn't say that.
It's spellbinding to me all the time when I get on this show and hear people's perspective outside of Atlanta
T.I.
of Ludacris.
Outside of Atlanta.
Ludacris and T.I. Like how high people outside of Atlanta hold Ludacris. It's refreshing to me. I love it because, you know, I was a fan of Luda when he was Chris Lover on the radio.
No, I almost feel like, Mike, no, it's not fair because it's an uneven swap because it's like outside of the city, it's like, well, they elevate Luda higher, but then they drag T.I. down through the mud. So it's like, no, I don't like it. I don't like it because it's like, oh, you elevating one of ours and dragging another one down. You don't see us doing that shit with West Coast rappers or New York rappers. Do I be like, you want to know what? That nigga 40 up, so we got to take this nigga short down.
I'm just going to say this. I
don't do that.
I like the Luda records, but, you know, when all those records were out.
Unless Kendrick makes a whack album, then we taking his ass down. When you make whack-ass albums and people expect stuff, take you down.
When all those Luda records were out, they really weren't playing in the city like that, except for What's Your Fantasy. That was, you know, it was first single. That was the one that actually got him the rhythm to get, you know, that deal with Def Jam. But as far as like once he got on and, you know, roll out, I loved it. I loved the flow on that. You know, the bigger the cap, the bigger the feeling, the bigger the better I'm willing and dealing more, willing, drilling and killing the feeling. I don't forgot the words, but yeah, I loved it. But it wasn't like you would go out in the city of Atlanta and that stuff would be, you know, playing. I mean, what was playing at that time?
Tip.
Yeah, Troy.
Tip.
Big Oom. You know what I'm saying? When you get in the club, you hearing East Side versus West Side. And I don't know if it's one of those things that a lot of cities probably do this too. When somebody makes it out of the city, we move on to the next emerging artist. Maybe that was some of it. But yeah, I think a lot of Ludacris's run, maybe the rest of the nation felt it on a different level than the actual city of Atlanta felt it because we were actually moving on to the next person. I think that happened when Jeezy came out too, because that's when T.I. kind of made it nationwide, and then now we got Jeezy's the next guy. And then when Jeezy gets to that level, okay, Gucci. You know what I'm saying? It's like
chains.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Jermaine Johnson with the Super Chat says, it's a shame that MCs like Jizza and Capadonna would never get their full just due because they're a part of the greatest group of all time and are overshadowed.
They're not overshadowed. They're not. They're where they belong based on the material. I love me some Liquid Swords. I think Liquid Swords is still better than Supreme Clientele. I think it's a top 20 rap album. Jizza don't belong ahead of Ghost on no all-time MC list. Telling you that as somebody who loves lyrics. Mike, in my crew when I used to rap, the collective of us, they looked at me like the Jizza. I was the lyricist of the crew. Like no, they don't. No. Ghost, Ray, Meth.
Well, does anybody know why Jizza didn't like continue to rhyme at the rate of somebody like a Ghost and Ray
He's older, Mike.
and Method Man? He just wasn't feeling
He's
it.
older.
Yeah.
He's older, and he had already been seasoned. Like he had a full album worth of material before Wu-Tang Clan ever formed.
Yeah. Yeah.
He in a lot of ways, him and Ray are in a lot of ways are the front men on Enter the Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Like so he did his work. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean,
Mike, I gotta get out of here. I don't think we're gonna have time to cover the rest of the topics.
Right, we didn't even get a chance to cover the Tupac thing. All right, let's get to the rest of the super chats, and we're gonna get out of here and just go from there. CJ Kid with the super chat says, "Mary J, My Life, or Usher Confessions for Diddy versus Jermaine Dupri." I mean, I think a lot of people are gonna connect to Mary's My Life, but Confessions is a tough album. On paper, you can't beat Confessions with that album.
This is what I'm trying to say, though. People got to look at it like this. It's like, I love My Life. Like, those records are deep. They're dark. They're moody. There's not a lot of stadium music on My Life.
No, you're
This
right.
is a versus.
You're right.
I'm going to tell you the records that you probably be able to play. Like, You Bring Me Joy or Mary's Anthem All Night Long. Like, you might be able to play those records, but a lot of that shit is deep and dark. Like, I'm the only one. Like the best records are deep and dark. I'm Going Down. I'm the Only One. Be Happy.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Mary's Joint. Like those aren't like what you would play in a versus, just so we clear. As far as like how it makes you feel and setting the scene in the mood. No. All time great. That shit. That's what I'm saying, man. That shit is not beating no Let It Burn or You Make Me Wanna like live when there are women in the building. I'm gonna say this again for all the fellas. It's different when women are in the building. Women buy tickets to these shows. If you think Puff and JD are gonna be in State Farm and there's not about to be a gaggle of women there, you're tripping.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, "Drinks on me next time I get the ATL A2HH." Yes, definitely.
First of all, Leroy,
we got you.
Well, remember
Leroy.
that 2 bottles of Tijanello that we drinking. If you don't know what Tijanello is, Leroy, need you to look up the price. You're gonna be $400 down. We got to pick up a couple of those bottles. I'm glad drinks are on you though. A couple bottles of Tijanello. I prefer a vintage before 2015, Leroy.
Jay Short with the super chat says, "Mass Appeal, Militia Remix, Royalty. You know my steez. Take it personal. Y'all sleeping on Gangstar."
I'm not sleeping at all. I'm wide awake and it's not happening. Trying to be nice.
All right, man. Well, we didn't even get to the Tupac slander, which is good. But just know this, man. Anybody talking about Tupac is not a good rapper or a lyricist or whatever. It's such a mute point at this point, man. Like,
I just prefer you say you don't like Tupac rather than you tell lies.
Well, this is my thing, Coop.
It's okay if you don't like Tupac. People are entitled not to like Pac. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. I don't know what you're talking about, but you're entitled to that.
This is my thing, man. I think people who don't, and I say this respectfully, people who don't like Tupac's music or don't connect with Tupac's music, I think don't connect with the Black American experience. You know, whether that be, you know, lineage-wise or maybe it's the crowd you're with, I don't know. But I don't understand how you could hear those songs and say the things that you're saying. Like, you just don't get it. You know what I mean? And that's fine. But that's the only thing I could deduce it to. I just don't understand how anybody could say those things about somebody who made material that stands up so well in every era.
Fam, who said that, who made the comment, the Rap Life host, he should literally, if he has a daughter, he should be made to sit next to his daughter, the mother of his child, whether it's his wife or not, and his mama. And they should play Dear Mama and Keep Your Head Up while he is sitting with the women in his life. And then he should explain to them how Tupac ain't that good.
Right.
Because I bet you that his mama, his baby mama, and his kid be looking at him like,
or tell me somebody who you think is good, who have.
Nigga, what you talking about?
Or tell me somebody that you think is good has been able to actually pull out these emotions and these experiences through song, through rap songs. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to just sit there and say something, but like you said, naming those records, tell me somebody you think is good that could pull that off. Because as great as I feel like, some guys that I like are, they can't pull those records off.
Mike, I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the ghetto didn't seem so rough. Though we had it tough, we always had enough. You don't feel that?
How do you not feel that?
How do you not feel that, fam? You don't think that's good? Flag on the play.
It feels very propaganda-ish. Like, are people paid to say this stuff?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's very problematic.
All right, man. We're gonna see you Friday. You're gonna be in New York City. It's gonna be a great time.
If nothing else, Mike, we're gonna be able to work out somewhere. Maybe you can just pull up and talk for like 15, 30 minutes. Bring some of the people in right quick. Yeah, we'll work it out.
Oh man, it's gonna be great. Epic.
Yeah.